Chapter 358. From Shursen Elementary School to Su Wan's courtyard house, they had to pass through two streets. There weren't many cars on the road right now. Su Wan and Xie Chang'an walked side by side, neither of them talking. When they were about to reach the door, Su Wan suddenly stopped and called Xie Chang'an. Xie Chang'an? HM? Hearing her voice, Xie Chang'an immediately turned to look at her with a smile. What's wrong? Nothing. Thank you for sending me back. Su Wan smiled faintly at Xie Chang'an. She swung her ponytail and turned to enter the courtyard while carrying her large backpack. Xie Chang'an stared at Su Wan's back for a while before smiling and walking towards his door. Every day, when Su Wan finished school, Su Guoyang still hadn't gotten off work. Today, Su Wan entered the door to see Su Guoyang and Lu Li sitting at the dining table. Su Qingmei, who was 5 years old, was sitting in Lu Li's arms with reddened eyes. Seeing Su Wan enter, Lu Li's expression changed slightly. Su Qingmei's gaze brightened, and she struggled to get out of Lu Li's arms, running to Su Wan. Sister, hurry and persuade Mom and Dad. Dad and Mom want a divorce. Divorce? Su Wan jumped in fright and subconsciously glanced at Su Guoyang. This honest man was sitting on a chair with a serious expression. Seeing the ashes on the ground at his feet, Su Wan couldn't help but walk forward and called out, Father? Emin Xiao Wan, you're back. Hearing his daughter's voice, Su Guoyang forced a smile. He didn't go to work today. In the morning, after calling the public phone booth to ask for leave, Su Guoyang rode his bicycle back home. Seeing Lu Li busy in the kitchen, Su Guoyang secretly went to the neighbor's house. Everyone in the courtyard knew about Su Guoyang's family situation, but people in this era didn't want to meddle in other people's business. Now that Su Guoyang had taken the initiative to ask, the neighbor originally didn't want to cause trouble, but seeing that the honest man was having a hard time, he told him about how Lu Li usually beat and scolded Su Wan. Su Wan and the neighbor's conversation removed Lu Li's hypocritical veil. Su Guoyang was heartbroken. He felt that he had let down his daughter. When he was young, it was Su Wan's mother who accompanied him through the most difficult times. Life finally took a turn for the better, but she died because of overwork. After his wife died, he left behind Xiao Wan. This was Su Guoyang's sore spot. These years, his daughter didn't say anything, and he was busy with work. He always thought that Lu Li would treat Su Wan like how she treated Su Qingmei. Unfortunately, reality proved that Su Guoyang was wrong. Dad, do you really want a divorce, Mom? Su Wan had already put down her bag at this time, blinking her eyes fixedly at her father. Yes. Su Guoyang nodded vigorously. Su Guoyang, have you lost your conscience? At this moment, Lu Li, who had been silent all this while, suddenly stood up with an unfriendly expression on her face. Who has been helping you take care of this family for the past 6 years? I married you and became your slave. I gave birth to your children. Now that your conditions are good, you want to abandon me just because you say so? How could there be such a good thing in this world? Tomorrow, I'm going to your factory to find your director. I want everyone to judge for me. Lu Li. Su Guoyang's expression darkened hearing Lu Li's words. Are you done? You've done a lot for this family, and I'm grateful, but how did you treat my daughter? Do you want me to call all the neighbors to judge for you? You still want to go to my factory? Go. Go right now. Let's see who's going to lose face then. There was a saying that a rabbit would bite when it was cornered. The more honest a man was, the scarier he was when he got angry. As expected, Lu Li immediately became listless hearing Su Guoyang's words. She looked fierce, but in reality, she was just bluffing most of the time. Su Guoyang, Qingmei is still so young. Xiao Wan can't be without a mother. I won't hit or scold her in the future, okay? If you divorce me, who will you find? Which woman is willing to worry about you and take care of your child like me? Seeing that Su Guoyang was determined, Lu Li immediately softened her tone. She turned around and grabbed Su Wan. Xiao Wan, don't be angry with your mother. Mother promises that she won't hit or scold you in the future. Persuade your father. If we really divorce, what will you and your sister do? Hearing Lu Li's promise, Su Wan sneered inside but still revealed a hesitant expression. Father, mother, Xiao Wan, don't worry about adult matters. Su Guoyang sighed. He thought about it for the entire day. As a man, he had an undeniable responsibility towards his family. If he couldn't even take care of his daughter and protect her, then how could he be a man and a father? Wah, wah. The moment Su Guoyang said this, Su Qingmei immediately sat on the ground and cried, I want my mother. Father, I want my mother. I don't want a stepmother. This child. Hearing Su Qingmei's words and her cries, Su Guoyang froze. Lu Li immediately squatted down and hugged Su Qingmei tightly. My pitiful child, don't cry. Mommy won't leave you. Su Guoyang, I was wrong and I'll change. Do you dare to give your 2 daughters to another woman? Su Qingmei's eyes widened. For the first time, Su Guoyang hesitated hearing his daughters crying and Lu Li's words. Indeed, although Lu Li was Su Wan's stepmother, she was at least Su Qingmei's biological mother. If he divorced Su Qingmei, how could he give his 2 children to another woman? Needless to say, the female lead was really smart. She accurately grasped Su Guoyang's weakness. Father. Seeing the change in the situation, Su Wan immediately walked up and gently tugged on Su Guoyang's sleeves. Father, don't divorce Mother. Mother treats me really well. She hit me because I wasn't sensible when I was young. Now that I've grown up and become sensible, Mother definitely won't hit me in the future. Am I right, Mother? Saying this, Su Wan widened her eyes and looked at Lu Li with a clear gaze. Lu Li froze and then nodded furiously. Yes, yes, yes. Xiao Wan is the most obedient. Mother won't hit you. Sigh. Su Guoyang sighed. He silently turned around and walked back to his room. Seeing this, Lu Li finally heaved a sigh of relief while hugging her daughter. In this day and age, divorce was a huge matter for a woman. Furthermore, Lu Li truly liked Su Guoyang, an honest man. She knew that if she lost this man, she might not be able to meet a second Su Guoyang in this lifetime. Xiao Wan. Wiping Su Qingmei's tears, Lu Li immediately smiled at Su Wan. Xiao Wan, what do you want to eat tonight? Mother will cook for you. In. Let's eat ribs. Sister likes them. Su Wan looked at Lu Li innocently and murmured. Lu Li smiled. Okay, let's eat the ribs. After Lu Li went to the kitchen, Su Wan also returned to her room. Just as she put down her bag, Su Qingmei's small figure appeared in front of Su Wan. Sister. In. What's wrong? Su Wan picked up the stationery box while looking at Su Qingmei at the door. Sister, don't be angry at Mother. She won't hit you in the future. Also, when Qingmei grows up, she can protect you too. Su Wan. Heh. What deep sisterly love. Why didn't you protect your sister in your past life? Now that you want to steal your sister's man, you feel guilty and know how to protect your sister? Screw sisterly love. Su Wan sneered inside, but still revealed a moved expression. Thank you, Qingmei. I know you're a good girl. Therefore, fake loli and whatnot. Hurry up and chase after your fake Shota. Of course, whether or not she could catch him was a problem. Xie Chang'an. Chapter 359. During dinner, Su Guoyang was still in a bad mood. Lu Li, on the other hand, was attentive enough to put food on Su Wan and Su Qingmei's plate. In the past, Lu Li would always save the best for Su Qingmei, but today, she gave the best to Su Wan. Su Wan didn't say anything. After dinner, she returned to her room. Her old desk was facing the only window in the room. Under the dim lighting, Su Wan looked at her messy textbooks, at a loss as to what to do. She seemed to have slept too much during the day. She didn't know what homework the teacher gave her today. Forget it. In the end, Su Wan still tidied up her desk according to the timetable. Nowadays, there were no other main courses in primary school besides language and mathematics. At worst, the homework was just ordinary calculations and exercises after class. These were simply too simple for Su Wan. After packing up her bag, Su Wan locked the door from the inside. Then she purposely left a crack in the window and then laid on the wooden bed to rest. Who knew how long had passed? When Su Wan woke up again, Su Rue was sitting by her bed. Your bed is so small. Su Rue couldn't help but grumble seeing Su Wan opening her eyes in a daze. He finally came in through the window. Seeing that she was sleeping soundly, General Su originally wanted to get on the bed to warm up, but because the bed was too small, he didn't have the heart to squeeze in. I'm so small. How big of a bed can I sleep in? Suwon blinked and looked at Su Rue, replying in a childish tone. Su Rue, I'm speechless.
Cough.
Su Rue coughed lightly to hide his embarrassment. He looked at Suwon on the bed and asked, What's wrong with Xie Chang'an? Who knows? Maybe he was reborn? Suwon shrugged at Su Rue. There's a high chance. According to my observations, he doesn't seem to have transmigrated. He should have been reborn. Amen. Su Rue heard Suwon's guess and nodded seriously. I also feel that he seems to be reborn. Look at the look in his eyes and I know. That's right. The connection between love rivals was that strong. But Su Rue's tone suddenly became somewhat doubtful. If he was reborn and planned to grow old together with the original owner, why didn't my mission fail? Xie Chang'an's rebirth was never mentioned in our mission storyline. Yes, that's what I'm most worried about. A trace of worry flashed across Su Wan's childish face. Su Rue, did Su mention God space and the space-time executioner to you? No. Su Rue immediately shook his head. They're also mission enforcers? More or less. The lost time-space we're in is a super high plane. Similarly, God space is also one of the super high planes. It's an existence that opposes us. There are countless God systems in God space. They will automatically find hosts that fit their criteria in low, medium, and high planes and then bind them to carry out counterattack missions set up by God space. These hosts are similar to mission enforcers like us, but they're controlled by the system and aren't as free as us. As for the space-time executioner, saying this, Su Wan's expression turned a bit complicated, even carrying a trace of fear. They shoulder the heavy responsibility of stabilizing the planes and are the only ones that can kill mission enforcers. Kill? Su Rue's gaze turned cold. In other words, if we encounter space-time executioners in the mission world, they might kill us? And this kind of death is irreversible, isn't it? Yes. Su Wan nodded. The space-time executioner was a group of very mysterious people. They were scattered in different spacetimes and didn't belong to any space. However, they were born with the ability to travel to different dimensions at will. They could impersonate anyone in this dimension and kill anyone in this dimension, including the system host and the mission enforcers of the lost spacetime. They were the favored children of spacetime. Su Qingmei was reborn in this world. We came here to change their fates, but now, Xie Chang'an has also been reborn. According to the headquarters rules, this situation would indicate that a bug has appeared or that the mission has ended or been completed. But we haven't received any instructions. I think there are two possibilities. Yi Zichen looked at Xie Chang'an. Saying this, Su Wan looked at Su Rue seriously. The first possibility is that the space-time disorder attracted the space-time executioner's attention. Right now, the executioner has entered this space-time and sealed all exits. The executioner wants to restore the entire world to its original trajectory. He needs to forcefully bring Su Qingmei, and even you and me, and Xie Chang'an's life trajectory back to its original position. Of course, he might attack us during this process. Of course, there's another possibility. Speaking of the second possibility, Su Wan's expression finally relaxed a bit. Although Xie Chang'an and Su Qingmei were reborn, the two of them might not have been reborn in the same spatial dimension. In other words, the two of them originally lived in two parallel spatial dimensions. Su Qingmei was reborn first and had our mission. Then, due to various reasons, Xie Chang'an from another parallel spatial dimension was also reborn in this world. Then, this world belongs to the plot of the other two worlds. Then, other than me and you, there might be another mission enforcer in this world. Although she said a lot, Su Rue still understood instantly. He couldn't help it. He was just that smart. Actually, parallel universes were easy to understand. Everyone would make different choices at different times. When you made different choices, your future would change accordingly. This way, many parallel universes would spawn, and there would be countless versions of you in them, experiencing completely different lives. Su Qingmei's past life and Xie Chang'an's past life might have been two different time spaces, but right now, their souls had been reborn in this time space. This counted as 3 parallel dimensions overlapping? If everything caused by Su Qingmei's rebirth was Su Wan and Su Rue's main mission, then Xie Chang'an's rebirth would definitely cause a chain reaction. then Xie Chang'an's rebirth would definitely cause a chain reaction. Maybe in his past life, he didn't end up with Su Wan. After his rebirth, he probably wanted to change his and Su Wan's lives for some reason. Then his rebirth destroyed the original trajectory of this world. If someone really accepted Xie Chang'an's mission, who would that person be? What was his mission objective? Su Rui and Su Wan glanced at each other. The two said at the same time, Rebirth Department. That's right. Usually, Rebirth Department would take on missions like this. Chapter 360. Because Su Wan's room was too small, he didn't stay in her room for long. When it was late at night, he left sneakily. The next day, Su Wan went to school as usual. In the morning, she went to school and asked Jiang Mei, who was sitting behind her, to copy her homework. Jiang Mei wasn't surprised by Su Wan's behavior. As an outstanding class leader, she had to unite with her classmates and borrow their homework. She was doing good deeds like Lei Feng. She never left her name. Elementary school classes were really boring. After enduring the morning, Su Wan was drowsy in the afternoon. As a result, when it came to the second class, she really fell asleep. Dong dong dong. A crisp sound rang in her ears. Su Wan was sleeping soundly when she was jolted awake by the sound. She opened her eyes in a daze and saw a young man's handsome face. Student Su Wan, it's your first time in my class and you're sleeping. This isn't good. Come to my office after school. Hearing the man's gentle and peaceful tone and seeing the smile in his eyes, Su Wan immediately sobered up. This person, he was, oh, you might not know me yet. Seeing Su Wan's gaze, the man still wore an indifferent expression. I'm the new math teacher, Xie Zixuan. Xie Zixuan, Xie Chang'an's uncle. As expected, mission enforcers would choose to conceal their identities the most beneficial to them. This person who exposed his identity in front of her without a care was her enemy in this world. There was no one else other than him who could be this confident, right? Teacher Xie, I understand. Su Wan nodded softly. She wasn't sleepy anymore. Okay. Xie Zixuan nodded in satisfaction. Let's continue class. The math class was still going on, and Xie Zixuan seemed to have forgotten about the episode that had just occurred. He was very serious about the math lesson for the day, and after that, he helped everyone with some classroom exercises. After class, Xie Zixuan took his lesson plan and left the classroom of Class 2, Class 3. After school, everyone carried their school bags and happily left the classroom. Su Wan, on the other hand, slowly went to the mathematics group on the second floor. Xie Zixuan was the only one in the office right now. He lazily leaned against his seat. When Su Wan entered, he was rolling up his sleeves and grading yesterday's math homework. Thank you, teacher. Su Wan called out crisply and then quickly walked in. Seeing Su Wan carrying a large school bag and wearing a large school uniform, step by step, Xie Zixuan endured, but in the end, he still couldn't hold back. Ha ha, ha ha ha. He didn't care about his image and laughed loudly. Su Wan on the side immediately glared angrily. What are you laughing at? I've never seen a loli before. Yes, I've seen many little lolas, but this is the first time I've seen one as old as you. As Xie Zixuan spoke, he winked at Su Wan with radiant delight. Yi Kanhuan, do you want to die? Su Wan coldly narrowed her eyes and coldly whispered to the man in front of her. Although it was a threat, coming from the mouth of this little loli with short arms and legs, there was no lethality at all, right? Ahem. Yi Kanhuan held back his laughter and squinted his eyes. Oh my, I'm so scared. Su Wan, Yi Kanhuan, just you wait. If I don't torture you to death during the test, then my name isn't Su Wan. Yi Kanhuan, the number 2 figure of the Rebirth Department. Because Su Wan had interacted with him in a mission before, she naturally guessed his identity when he didn't hide anything today. This Master Yi was famous for being conceited and difficult to deal with in the Rebirth Department. Su Wan felt surprised that he would appear in this mission, but it was reasonable. According to the order of the mission, she and Su Rui should have accepted the mission first, while Xie Chang'an's mission should have appeared later. By then, the Rebirth Department should have known that Su Wan and Su Rui were in the mission. Plus, Qin Yu sent Yi Kanhuan to carry out this world's mission. Naturally, it was targeted at her and Su Rui. Thinking this through, Su Wan immediately calmed down. Yi Kanhuan exposed himself so fearlessly. He must have had a perfect plan. He purposely exposed himself to see her and Su Rui's true strength. Su Wan. Yi Kanhuan's voice interrupted Su Wan's thoughts. It's school time right now. I'll take you home on the way. Amin. I'll also visit your home. Home visit? He's planning on making a move now? What an open and above-board scheme. Teacher, do as you wish. Su Wan carried her bag and turned to leave. Meanwhile, Yi Kanhuan smiled and tidied up his clothes before slowly following behind Su Wan. Yi Kanhuan was familiar with Su Wan. After all, the two had confronted each other before. But this time, he didn't know if it was because Su Wan had turned into a little lowly, but he felt like Su Wan was different from the Su Wan he knew in the past. By the time the two walked out of the school building, there weren't many people on the field anymore. Su Wan immediately saw Su Rui, who was a bit impatient, waiting outside the school gates. This time, Su Rui didn't ride his flashy mountain bike. He leaned against the school gates by himself. His handsome appearance and cold temperament immediately became everyone's focus. It was hard not to attract attention. Yi Kanhuan naturally also saw the blue-clothed youth outside the school gates. Su Rui, the newly promoted expert of the plane restoration department. According to reliable sources, he was Su Wan's lover. This time, the reason why Qin Yu sent Yi Kanhuan into this world wasn't to do a mission but to test Su Rui's strength. No one knew the true strength of this upstart because his points hadn't increased recently. Everyone suspected that he had been instructed by Su Su to hide his strength on purpose and weaken his presence. Ahem, was General Su really just helping his wife with a mission? Of course, other people didn't know this. When Yi Kanhuan looked at Su Rui also accurately captured Yi Kanhuan's aura. Then his computer's brain immediately flashed with Yi Kanhuan's information. Enemy of the Rebirth Department? The coldness in Su Rui's gaze disappeared. Xiao Wan. Seeing that Su Wan had already walked in front of him, Su Rui immediately opened his mouth and called out to her. He raised his hand and took the bag off her shoulder. I'll take you home? Classmate. Yi Kanhuan smiled and stopped Su Rui's footsteps. I'm Su Wan's math teacher and the new homeroom teacher of her class. May I ask what your relationship with Su Wan is? She's my sister. Su Rui glanced at Yi Kanhuan. Teacher, do you have a problem with that? Ahem. Yi Kanhuan coughed seriously. I don't have a problem with that. I'm going to visit her home. Since you're her relative, you can come with me. Saying this, Yi Kanhuan smiled and gestured for Su Rui to go with him. He purposely emphasized the word relative. The three of them knew that with Su Rui's identity as Gao Yu, it was a bit inconvenient for him to go to the Su family. Plus, Su Qingmei would definitely be filled with ill intentions towards him. But so what? Su Rui smiled in disdain and held Su Wan's hand. Let's go home. Amin. Su Wan nodded and followed Su Rui's footsteps. Yi Kanhuan rubbed his chin as he watched the two walk shoulder to shoulder. Nanny. He actually found the scene to be loving? Chapter 361. Yesterday, after Su Guoyang threw a tantrum, Luli restrained herself a lot today. She cleaned up the house in the afternoon and then picked Su Qingmei up from the kindergarten. Then she began to prepare dinner for the four of them. Actually, Luli wasn't a really vicious person. She was just really selfish and vain. She felt that she had put in so much effort for this family. Then Su Guoyang's money naturally belonged to her and Su Qingmei. But now, she had to pay a portion of Su Wan's expenses. She felt uncomfortable and naturally didn't treat Su Wan well. She even felt that Su Wan should do things whenever she ordered Su Wan to do things. This time, Su Guoyang saying that he wanted to get a divorce scared Luli. She thought about it for half a night. Su Wan was stupid and wasn't suited to go to school. Once she graduated from middle school, she should let her go out and work. In the future, she could find someone to marry and get a betrothal gift. It wasn't a loss. Luli's mood improved a lot. Mom, I'm back. Luli was busy cooking when she heard Su Wan's childish voice. This brat had her father's support now. How dare she come back so late after school? Luli quickly walked out of the kitchen with a dark expression. Seeing Su Rui and Yi Kanhuan, she froze. You guys are? You're Su Wan's mom? I'm her homeroom teacher, Xie Zixuan. Yi Kanhuan smiled gently at Luli. Needless to say, Xie Zishuan's appearance was really gentle. Their Xie family's men were all refined and handsome men. Teacher Xie? Luli froze. Because she had gone to Shursan Elementary School for a parent-teacher meeting before. At that time, Suwon's homeroom teacher was a female teacher. I'm new. Didn't I just get promoted? Because I'm not familiar with the students, I took the liberty to visit them. Yi Kanhuan saw Lu Li's confusion and immediately smiled, adding a few words. Oh, I see. Teacher Xie, take a seat, take a seat. I'll go pour some tea for you. Saying this, Lu Li turned around and started working again. To Lu Li, being a teacher was a very noble and high-class job. She was a high-class intellectual. She couldn't be negligent. Yi Kanhuan smiled and sat on the sofa in the Su house as he watched Lu Li busy herself with work. Let's go back to my room. Seeing Xie Zishuan smile, Su Wan curled her lips and pulled him towards her room. At this time, Su Qingmei heard Xie Zishuan's words and quickly ran out. Su Qingmei naturally knew that Xie Zishuan was Xie Chang'an's uncle. Plus, she knew that Xie Chang'an's uncle was very powerful. Xie Chang'an himself, and even his parents listened to him. Therefore, this teacher Xie Zishuan was also someone he had to curry favor with in this life. Su Qingmei had already fixed her clothes and hair in the room. She smiled at her familiar face in the mirror before rushing out. Sister, you're going back. Su Qingmei had just run out when she saw Su Wan pulling Su Rui back to the room. Seeing the familiar figure, Su Qingmei's smile froze. What was going on? Gao Yu? Why was Gao Yu here? Moreover, he was with his sister? Qingmei. Hearing Su Qingmei's words, Su Wan had to stop and turn to look at the female lead. Qingmei, do you need something? Su Qingmei froze on the spot, staring at Su Rui's face. Hatred, resentment, anger. Too many emotions intertwined together, causing her chubby little face to look abnormally pale. Child, what are you standing here for? Lu Li had just brought the teacup out. Seeing her daughter standing in the middle of the room, she couldn't help but ask, Wah? At this time, Su Qingmei suddenly started crying. Her cries were earth-shattering, even more pitiful than yesterday. I didn't say anything. Why are you crying? Lu Li didn't expect her daughter to suddenly cry. She awkwardly placed the teacup in front of Yi Kanhuan. Teacher Xie, don't mind her. She's still young and doesn't understand. It's fine, it's fine. What's wrong with her? Yi Kanhuan continued to smile warmly. He looked like he was watching a good show. Mother, I'm scared. Su Qingmei was shivering in Lu Li's arms. Mother, that big brother is so scary. Big brother? Lu Li thought of Su Rui who came in with Su Wan. She was too busy greeting Teacher Xie that she almost forgot about the young man. Student, who are you? You don't look familiar. You're not from around here, right? Lu Li carried her daughter and patted her gently while looking at Su Rui suspiciously. Auntie, I'm Gao Yu. My mother is Dong Yuanyuan. She's Qin Fong's distant cousin. My mother told me to come and visit my uncle and cousin. Su Rui answered calmly. Qin Fong was Su Wan's birth mother. Qin Fong's relative? The suspicion in Lu Li's eyes deepened. She had never heard Su Guoyang mention Qin Fong's relatives from her parents' side of the family. Could they really be distant relatives? Uncle-in-law? Cousin? Hearing Su Rui lie, Yi Kanhuan continued to smile while Su Qingmei's gaze flickered coldly in Lu Li's arms. What distant relatives? What uncle? It was a complete lie. Gao Yu's mother, Dong Yuanyuan, was the daughter of Siju City's Dong family. She only had one brother, and he was a business tycoon in the capital. There was no way she was Qin Fong's relative. Just as Lu Li was doubting, there was the sound of a bicycle outside. Su Guoyang had come back from work. Guoyang, you're back. Why are you so early today? Hearing the sound, Lu Li immediately ran to the door with the child. Seeing the travel-worn Su Guoyang, she exclaimed, Perfect timing. We have guests. Come in and see. There's a child saying that he's Qin Fong's distant cousin's son. He's in the room right now. Qin Fong's relative? Hearing Lu Li's words, Su Guoyang's expression changed slightly. He immediately rushed into the house. There were two strangers in the room. Su Guoyang's gaze landed on Su Rui after hearing Lu Li's words. You're Ah Fong's cousin's daughter? You're my uncle, right? I'm Gao Yu. Su Rui smiled faintly at Su Guoyang. Has my aunt mentioned my mother to you before? Of course, it's normal. My family moved to Sea City because of my father's work. We've been living in the capital in the past. Capital, a faraway place that people yearned for. Su Guoyang also hesitated when he heard Su Rui's words and saw his unwavering gaze. Su Guoyang really didn't know much about Qin Fang's maternal family. Ever since Qin Fang died, he gradually cut off contact with that branch. Someone from the capital? This was the first time Lu Li carefully examined Su Rui. Though he was wearing Shi Sanhai's uniform, his handsome appearance and outstanding temperament were eye-catching. This child clearly came from a wealthy family. Someone like him wouldn't covet anything from their family. Who knows, he might even benefit from them after acknowledging them as relatives. Thinking of this, Lu Li's gaze turned passionate. You guys moved from the capital. I've never been to the capital before. Oh right, where are you guys staying right now? Is it far from our home? Su Rui smiled faintly. Auntie, I live in the government's compound. My father is working in the city's public security bureau right now. Government? City's public security bureau? Lu Li froze hearing his reply. Just how high of an official was that? Yi Kanhuan was speechless. Chapter 362. Su Guoyang furrowed his brows slightly while Lu Li looked at Su Rui fervently. Official? He was just an ordinary worker. He didn't dare to randomly recognize an official's relative. I've never heard Ah Fong say that she has a relative in the capital. Child, you didn't get it wrong, right? How could that be? Su Rui smiled and took out a photo from his pocket. It was a photo of two women. One was Gao Yu's mother, Dong Yuan, and the other was Su Wan's mother, Qin Fang. Su Guoyang was stunned when he saw the photo. Of course, he recognized his wife. Ah, Guoyang, he's from the capital. Does he need to lie to us? Lu Li had already confirmed Su Rui's identity. She immediately smiled and said, Since you're all guests, I'll cook a few more dishes tonight. Let's all eat here. Teacher Xia, don't leave either. Wah. Su Qingmei started throwing a tantrum in Lu Li's arms again. Mom, I'm scared. I'm scared. Let him go. Let him go. Child, what's wrong? Lu Li felt awkward hearing her daughter crying. Then she slapped Su Qingmei's back. Don't mess around. Saying this, Lu Li carried Su Qingmei into the room. Bang! The door was slammed shut by Lu Li. She placed Su Qingmei by the bed and looked at her seriously. You're not allowed to cry. What do you know? He's our family's benefactor. In the future, you have to call him Gao Yu. Cousin Gao Yu. Saying this, Lu Li wiped away the tears on Su Qingmei's face. Stay in the room right now. I'll let you out when you stop making a fuss. Su Qingmei's expression changed. Saying this, Lu Li quickly walked out of the room without looking at Su Qingmei's reaction. After Lu Li left, Su Qingmei's gaze turned complicated. Right. She was just a 5-year-old child. No one would believe her no matter what she said. Plus, why did Gao Yu appear here? This was completely different from her past life. Plus, the other woman in the photo was Dong Yuan. Su Qingmei had seen Gao Yu's mother in her past life. Could it be, was Gao Yu's mother really Su Wan's mother's distant cousin? In that case, was this world still the same world that he had experienced in his previous life? For a moment, Su Qingmei was at a loss. At this time, Su Guoyang, who had confirmed Su Rui's identity, happily chatted with Su Rui in the front hall. Seeing the two chatting happily, Yi Kanhuan couldn't help but look at Su Wan. Su Wan, do you need me to help you with your homework? Thank you, teacher. Su Rui answered Xie Zishuan. Su Rui stood up and looked at Xie Zishuan calmly. Teacher, you're so busy, and you have so many students to take care of. I won't bother you with my Xiao Wan. Saying this, Su Rui smiled and turned to look at Su Guoyang. Uncle, although my grades are average, it's fine for me to help primary school students. I don't have a lot of homework after school anyway. From today onwards, I'll help Xiao Wan with her homework every day. What do you think? Su Guoyang knew that Su Wan's grades were bad. Unfortunately, he and Lu Li weren't educated, so no one had helped Su Wan. Plus, their family couldn't afford to hire a tutor. Su Guoyang immediately became happy hearing Su Rui's words. Xiao Yu, It's great that you can help Xiao Wan. Xiao Wan, hurry and thank your cousin. Thank you, cousin. As Su Wan spoke, she winked at Su Rue. Don't be so polite. Uncle, chat with teacher Xie first. I'll go help Xiao Wan with her homework. Su Rue walked to Su Wan's side and then followed her into the small bedroom. Su Wan couldn't help but turn to stare at Su Rue. What's with the photo? Heh. Su Rue took out a photo from his pocket. It was the photo of Qin Fong that the body's original owner had treasured. I took this from your photo album yesterday. In the morning, I picked out a photo of my mother and found a photography studio to edit it. As expected, technology could change fate. You sure have foresight. Su Wan couldn't help but smile and then tossed her bag on the bed. That's Xie Zixuan. Did you feel it? He's from the rebirth department. Yi Kanhuan. Su Rue said Yi Kanhuan's name. Su showed me his information. I've recorded his information. Okay. Su Wan nodded. That's right. It's him. He purposely exposed his identity in front of us this time. I think he mainly wants to find out your background. Then I'm afraid he'll be disappointed because I've always been unfathomable. Su Rue felt proud hearing Su Wan's words. Amen. You're unfathomable. Then may I ask the unfathomable General Su? You used a fake photo to deal with Su Guoyang and Lu Li. How are you going to deal with Gao Yu's parents? According to Su Qingmei's current age, Su Wan and Su Rue probably had to stay in this world for over a decade. Then, Su Guoyang and his wife would have to meet Gao Jian and his wife during this time, right? At that time, Su Rue's lies would naturally fall apart. Su Guoyang wasn't familiar with Qin Fong's family's network of relatives, but there was no way Dong Yuanyuan wouldn't know who her relatives were. Su Rue froze. Nanny. General Su didn't consider Dong Yuanyuan and the others at all when he thought of this method. Therefore, even a wise man would make a mistake. Forget it. Su Rue waved his hands. I'll find a way to deal with Dong Yuanyuan. Saying this, Su Rue strode forward and pulled Su Wan into his embrace. You're too skinny right now. No. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to nourish you. Nourish you so that you can grow taller. Su Wan's gaze flickered. What's so good about growing taller? Don't you know that kids nowadays like soft and cute lolas? If I grow too fast and surpass those little boys, wouldn't no one dare to chase after me then? What? You have people chasing after you? General Su's face immediately darkened. He was the second generation of an official. He was handsome and wealthy, but he didn't even receive a love letter at Shursen High School. This didn't make sense. Now, Su Wan was telling him that a 9-year-old Lolis had people chasing after her. Wasn't this world too strange? Glancing at Su Rue's expression, Su Wan couldn't help but smile and pinch his face. I'm just teasing you. The students in school are all very pure. What do a few years old child know? Indeed, this was a relatively conservative era. But Su Wan's words made Su Rue think of Xie Chang'e. Wasn't that a little boy who had improper thoughts about his wife? Since Xie Chang'an had been reborn from another world, what had happened in that world? Su Rue's gaze turned serious. He couldn't do anything to Xie Chang'an right now, but he could do something to Yi Kanhuan. Although the headquarters stated that mission participants couldn't kill each other during missions, as long as they didn't die, there were many other things they could do. Achoo. At this time, Yi Kanhuan, who was chatting with Su Guoyang, suddenly sneezed. He felt cold all over. Chapter 363. In the end, Yi Kanhuan didn't stay at the Su family for dinner because today was his first day at Shursan Elementary School. His elder brother and sister-in-law, Xie Chang'an's parents, had already prepared a table full of food to celebrate for him. Su Rue happily ate dinner at the Su family. Su Qingmei didn't make a fuss during dinner either. Instead, she would secretly observe Su Rue's every move, attempting to discover his secret. Unfortunately, Su Rue didn't say anything at the dinner table. He acted like an obedient child, so Su Qingmei couldn't tell anything. After dinner, Su Rue saw that it was still early, so he went to Su Wan's room under the pretense of tutoring. Okay, General Su couldn't do anything right now, but seeing his wife who looked like a steamed bun, he found it refreshing. Amen. If she was a bit fatter and had a bit more flesh on her face, it would definitely feel great when he pinched her. Su Wan was speechless. Seeing that Su Wan and Su Rue hadn't come out of the room, Su Qingmei went to the courtyard alone. Before she left, she saw Xie Chang'an outside. Her eyes brightened. "Brother Chang'an, are you here to play with me?" Xie Chang'an smiled faintly at Su Qingmei's bright eyes. He waved the small box in his hand. "My uncle brought back chocolate from outside. It's really delicious. I want to give some to your sister and you." "Qingmei, why are you alone? Where's your sister? Is she doing her homework?" Yeah." Su Qingmei's expression fell hearing Xie Chang'an ask about Su Wan. Was it because she was too young so Xie Chang'an had been purposely ignoring her? He seemed to care more about her sister. "I'll go see her. If she doesn't know anything, I can help her." Xie Chang'an naturally knew about Su Wan's grades. In his past life, because Su Wan wasn't good at studying and she wasn't Lu Li's biological daughter, she dropped out of school after middle school. After that, she had been working in a clothing factory in the city. She was talented in designing, and it had always been her regret that she didn't go to university. In this life, Xie Chang'an hoped that he could help Su Wan go to university so that she could complete her dream and become an outstanding fashion designer. "Brother Chang'an." Seeing that Xie Chang'an was going to look for Su Wan, Su Qingmei immediately stopped him. "Cousin is tutoring my sister. You don't need to go, right?" Su Qingmei didn't feel good. In her past life, Su Qingmei had no lack of pursuers since middle school. Even after she entered university, there were still many guys chasing after her. Su Qingmei was used to being the center of attention. Now that she suddenly became a little brat, she had to watch everyone revolve around Su Wan. Su Qingmei felt really uncomfortable. Xie Zixuan was Su Wan's homeroom teacher. It was fine that he cared about her grades, but Gao Yu, that wastrel who didn't like to study, actually took the initiative to tutor her. There was also Xie Chang'an. Why did he care so much about Su Wan? He clearly didn't like Su Wan in the past life. The person he liked had always been her cousin. Xie Chang'an didn't notice Su Qingmei's complicated expression. Hearing her words, he froze slightly. Because in his memory, Su Wan didn't have a cousin. Seeing Xie Chang'an's confused expression, Su Qingmei subconsciously blurted out, "Cousin Gao Yu. Although, I don't like him but my parents and sister really like him." "Gao Yu." Hearing Gao Yu's name, Xie Chang'an's hand loosened slightly. The candy box in his hand almost fell to the ground. Why was Gao Yu in the Su family? How did he become Su Wan's cousin? It seemed like it wasn't a coincidence that he ran into Gao Yu at the school gate yesterday. Xie Chang'an also had his past life's memories, so he naturally remembered Gao Yu and Su Qingmei. Hearing Su Qingmei's words, he felt even more conflicted. "Qingmei, Qingmei." Lu Li's voice rang from the courtyard. Su Qingmei couldn't care too much right now. She snatched the candy box from Xie Chang'an's hands and smiled brightly at him. "Thank you, Brother Chang'an, for the chocolate. I'll give it to my sister. My mother is calling me. I'm going back first." Saying this, Su Qingmei turned and ran back to the courtyard. Xie Chang'an stood outside the courtyard and hesitated for a while. In the end, he decided to wait outside and wait for Gao Yu to come out of the Su family. "Qingmei, what did you take?" Lu Li wanted to tell Su Qingmei to go home and wear a coat, but she couldn't help but ask when she saw what her daughter was holding. Usually, Lu Li liked to take advantage of others, but she was really strict with her daughter. She didn't allow Su Qingmei to take other people's things easily. Girls naturally had to be raised with dignity. That way, she could get a rich husband for her in the future. "Brother Chang'an gave me this candy." Su Qingmei held the box of chocolate in her arms like it was a treasure and ran outside Su Wan's room. Creak. Gently pushing open the door, Su Qingmei immediately saw Su Wan sitting in front of the desk doing her homework. Su Rue was standing behind her right now, his hands supporting the desk in front of him. From the side, it looked like he had Su Wan's small body in front of him. The yellowish light illuminated the young man's side profile. Su Qingmei paused. She couldn't deny that Gao Yu's appearance was off the charts. She had met so many men in her past life, but none were more handsome than Gao Yu. However, Gao Yu was too flirtatious and fickle. He would never be moved by any woman. He was a natural playboy. But at this moment, the scene in front of her made Su Qingmei's heart skip a beat. The young man's gaze was too gentle and tired. He looked at the person in front of him as if he was looking at the lover he had loved for many years. Crash. Su Qingmei froze and the box of candy in her hands fell to the ground. The sound startled the two in the room. Su Rue turned around carelessly and looked at Su Qingmei. Qingmei, what's wrong? Su Qingmei avoided Su Rui's gaze. She looked down at the box of candy on the ground and carefully opened it. Thankfully, the chocolate didn't shatter. Chocolate? At this time, Suwon also turned around. Seeing the box of chocolate in Su Qingmei's hands, Suwon blinked curiously. This didn't seem like something Su Guoyang and Luli would buy. Sister, cousin, this chocolate is? Brother Chang'an gave me. Do you guys want to eat it? As Su Qingmei said this, she passed the chocolate to Suwon with sparkling eyes. At this moment, Su Qingmei told herself that she couldn't be fooled by Gao Yu's outer appearance anymore. His gentleness and single-mindedness were all lies. He wouldn't give up the entire forest for a woman. This wasn't his style. Men like Xie Chang'an were hard to come by in this world. She had to grab hold of him and not miss him. Even if she had to play some tricks, she had to be with Xie Chang'an. As expected, the chocolate was from Xie Chang'an. Hearing Su Qingmei's words, Suwon smiled faintly. Since Xie Chang'an gave it to you, you can eat it. I won't eat it. It's too sweet. Who's Xie Chang'an? He's really generous. Su Rui smiled and asked, seeing that Suwon rejected Su Qingmei. The box of chocolate was definitely expensive, but this brat was willing to part with it. Brother Chang'an is our neighbor. He's the best person in the world. I'm going to be his wife when I grow up. Hearing Su Rui's words, Su Qingmei lifted her head and said in a childish voice. This sounded like a child's words, but in reality, Su Qingmei said this specifically for Suwon. Suwon was speechless. Chapter 364. By the time Su Rui left Dong Yuanyuan's house, it was already dark. But he wasn't in a hurry because Gao Jin was usually very busy with work. Working overtime was a common occurrence. Recently, because he became obedient, Dong Yuanyuan was also at ease with him. She would often find a few other sisters to go out to eat and play mahjong. She would also return home very late. Gao Yu. What Su Rui didn't expect was that Xie Chang'an stopped him the moment he exited the courtyard house. The 10-year-old Xie Chang'an's height didn't even reach Su Rui's chest. He lifted his head and looked at Su Rui seriously. Gao Yu, I have something to say to you. HM? Su Rui curled his lips and smiled ambiguously at the kid. You know me? Not only do I know you, but I also know a lot about your family, including Dong family and your father. Xie Chang'an's gaze was complicated and deep. His childish face carried a maturity that didn't match his age. Oh? Su Rui couldn't help but gaze at Xie Chang'an's words. He crossed his arms and looked at the male lead with interest. You're not threatening me, are you? Su Rui said as he slowly walked over to Xie Chang'an. You're pretty interesting. What do you want to do? Tell me. I want you to stay away from the Su family. Don't provoke them for the rest of your life. Under Su Rui's playful gaze, Xie Chang'an's tone was still serious. Maybe you think that I'm just a kid and my words don't carry much weight, but I'm advising you to believe me. Oh, Su Rui purposely dragged out his words. Then he bent down and whispered in Xie Chang'an's ears, I believe you know a lot, but I also know about you, Xie Chang'an. Hearing Su Rui call out his name, Xie Chang'an's gaze finally changed. Seeing that Xie Chang'an was finally a bit flustered, Su Rui chuckled in satisfaction. In this life, Suwon is mine. If you want to fight with me, I'll accompany you anytime. There's no point in talking about other things. If you're a man, then fight for real. In this life, could it be that Gao Yu was one as well? Xie Chang'an was really stunned this time. His mind was blank. When he came back to his senses, he found that Gao Yu's figure had already disappeared into the night. Xie Chang'an stood in place, not moving for a long time. Xie Chang'an understood Su Rui's words, but he didn't understand it all. After all, in his past life, Gao Yu and Suwon didn't have any direct contact. The only connection between the two was because of Gao Yu and Su Qingmei, causing Suwon to have a miscarriage and worsening her health. Why would Gao Yu treat Suwon? Xie Chang'an couldn't figure it out. He sighed. Since he couldn't figure it out, he simply stopped thinking about it. Since there was such a thing as rebirth in this world that was beyond the scope of science, what else couldn't happen? Gao Yu was right. This life should be a brand new beginning. If he still cared and loved Suwon, then he should start from the beginning and move her heart step by step. So what if there was such a strong opponent? He might not necessarily lose. Thinking of this, Xie Chang'an's gaze gradually became determined. The next day, Su Wan still sat in Su Guiyang's car and arrived at the school gate. The moment she got off, she saw Xie Chang'an standing outside the school gate looking around, clearly waiting for her. "Bye, Dad." After waving goodbye to Su Guiyang, Su Wan pretended not to see Xie Chang'an. She carried her backpack and walked towards the school building. "Su Wan." Xie Chang'an immediately chased after Su Wan. "How come I didn't see you after school yesterday? I slept in class and teacher Xie called me to his office." Su Wan faintly answered Xie Chang'an's words. The teacher Xie Su Wan was talking about should be her uncle, Xie Zixuan, right? "I'll wait for you tonight. Let's go after school, okay?" Xie Chang'an chased after Su Wan and couldn't help but ask, "Together?" Su Wan stopped and looked at Xie Chang'an. "Why?" Cough. My mom said that there have been a lot of kidnappers lately." "Kidnappers? Well, that's a pretty good excuse." Su Wan revealed a hesitant expression. "But cousin promised to pick me up from school every day." "Cousin? Wasn't that Gao Yu?" Xie Chang'an's expression turned serious hearing Su Wan mention his love rival. "Your cousin is a high school student, right? Doesn't he end school late? Does he skip class every day to pick you up?" Even if he does pick you up, we're neighbors. We're going the same way. We can take care of each other if we go together." Okay." After hesitating, Su Wan nodded. "Then let's go together." "All right. Thank you for the chocolate you gave my sister. She likes it a lot." "Huh." Xie Chang'an froze. After saying that, Su Wan quickly walked forward. "I'm going to be late. I can't talk to you anymore. See you after school." Xie Chang'an was speechless. "The chocolate was for you." "For you? For you?" Xie Chang'an was gloomy. He was the one who left the expensive chocolate for Su Wan. How did it become for Su Qingmei? Because of this misunderstanding, Xie Chang'an felt uneasy the entire day. Finally, school ended. He immediately packed his backpack and left his class as fast as he could. But the moment he arrived at the door, he saw a certain calm man holding a lesson plan standing there. "Uncle." Xie Chang'an saw Yi Kanhuan's figure and immediately called out weakly, "Chang'an, school ended, right? Let's go. I'll go home with you." Yi Kanhuan smiled and grabbed Xie Chang'an's shoulder. He pulled him towards the stairs. "Male lead, be good. You're the female lead. Stop messing around with Su Wan and the others." "Uncle, Xie Chang'an was pulled downstairs by Yi Kanhuan. When they were walking out of the school, Xie Chang'an immediately saw Su Rui. He couldn't help but want to say something, but Yi Kanhuan interrupted him halfway. "Chang'an, your grades haven't been stable recently. Starting from today, I'm going to make up for it." Xie Chang'an was speechless. He went from the top 3 to the top of the grade. "You call that unstable? Can you tell me what stability is?" "Uncle, Xie Chang'an wanted to say something, but Yi Kanhuan interrupted him again. "Chang'an, the city is going to be holding the Olympic math competition. I think you have a chance of getting a good ranking. So during this time, don't get distracted and don't play around. I'll be monitoring you." Xie Chang'an was speechless. Therefore, the pitiful male lead was taken away by Yi Kanhuan right under Su Rui's eyes. When Su Wan came out of school, she was a bit surprised to not see Xie Chang'an. "Where's Xie Chang'an?" Su Wan glanced at Su Rui and couldn't help but ask. "His uncle took him away." Su Rui shrugged and then patted the back seat of his bicycle. "Come, little lowly. Brother will take you for a ride." In order to take Su Wan, Su Rui specially switched to a permanent bicycle with a back seat. Su Wan looked at the brand new bicycle and then at the smiling Su Rui. "You want to dismiss me with a bicycle? But I like it. Let's go. Let's go." Chapter 365. Because Su Rui often picked up Su Wan from school, he naturally became familiar with the people in the Sihiyuan after a long time. Because his family's conditions were good, Su Rui would buy a lot of candy and biscuits to bring to the children in the Sihiyuan every few days. The neighbors in the courtyard also gradually knew that the Su family had a very rich relative. Though she was Qin Fang's relative, Luli felt like she had a lot of face. Especially after Su Rui brought a bottle of perfume from Hong Kong for her, Luli became even more enthusiastic towards Su Rui. Her attitude towards Su-won kept getting better and better. Seeing that his family was finally harmonious, Su Guoyang also let out a sigh of relief in his heart. Only Su Qingmei was unhappy. In her past life, Gao Yu had harmed her too badly. She couldn't convince herself to peacefully get along with Gao Yu. Therefore, as long as Su Rui came to the Su family, Su Qingmei would think of a way to avoid him and go to the courtyard or the streets to play by herself. Su Qingmei really wanted to find Xie Chang'an, but for some reason, Xie Chang'an hadn't left the house recently. Su Qingmei didn't dare to rashly go to the Xie family. She could only wander back and forth in front of Xie family's courtyard. Hi. At this time, a handsome man suddenly walked out of the courtyard. He smiled and greeted Su Qingmei. Teacher Xie. Su Qingmei saw Yi Kanhuan's figure and immediately called him sweetly. Little Qingmei, why are you here? Yi Kanhuan looked at Su Qingmei's small figure and asked gently, do you want to find Brother Chang'an to play with? Amen. Su Qingmei immediately nodded. I haven't seen Brother Chang'an for a few days. Is he sick? I'm really worried about him. Ah, you're such a good child. Yi Kanhuan patted the female lead's head. Come here. Uncle will take you inside to find Brother Chang'an to play. Saying this, Yi Kanhuan pulled Su Qingmei's hand and led her to the Xie family. Xie family and the Su family were both ordinary working families, but Xie family's house was a bit bigger than the Su family's. Xie Chang'an's room was also very spacious. In her past life, Su Qingmei had come to this room with Su-won many times. But this was the first time she came to Xie Chang'an's room. At this time, Xie Chang'an had just finished the math questions Yi Kanhuan left for him. He was thinking about finding time to find Su-won this weekend when he heard the door open. Brother-in-law, I'm done. Childhood sweetheart? At first, Xie Chang'an thought it was Yi Kanhuan. But when he looked up, he saw little Su Qingmei. She blinked her clear and charming eyes, timidly standing at his door. Qingmei, why are you here? Seeing Su Qingmei, Xie Chang'an's gaze brightened. Did your sister bring you here? Where is Su-won? Su-won hearing Xie Chang'an asking about Su-won. Su Qingmei's gaze darkened. Then she couldn't help but smile. Brother Chang'an wants to find my sister. Big sister and cousin are doing homework in the room. They have to do it for a long time every day. I don't even have time to play with big sister. Cousin is the worst. Gao Yu again. Xie Chang'an pursed his lips. Tomorrow is the weekend. My uncle is taking me to the park to play. Do you and your sister want to go? Sure. I love boating in the park. Su Qingmei clapped her hands happily hearing Xie Chang'an's words. Okay, then it's settled. Tomorrow morning at 8, I'll wait for you guys outside your house. Xie Chang'an couldn't help but reveal a smile seeing that Su Qingmei agreed. But the next day, when Xie Chang'an and Yi Kanhuan came to the Su family's courtyard, Su Rui and Song Yang were already waiting there. Gao Yu, isn't that the Shota from the other day? Song Yang's memory had always been good. Seeing Xie Chang'an's figure, he immediately moved closer to Su Rui and chuckled. No wonder you didn't want to play ball with me and insisted on going to the park. You're such a good brother, right? You want to protect him 24/7. Su Rui was speechless. If possible, General Su didn't mind protecting him 24/7. Really? Not long later, Su Wan and Su Qingmei came out. It was said that girls love to be beautiful. Even Lolas, who were only a few years old, would dress up before going out to play. But, seeing the big red flower on Su Wan's head, Su Rui's lips twitched. Su Wan, you're doing this on purpose, right? Yi Kanhuan also saw Su Wan's attire. Nanny Su Wan, you really know how to make your presence known. I can't even pretend that I don't see you. Compared to Su Wan's tacky appearance, the little Su Qingmei had her hair in a bun and wore a red knitted skirt. She blinked her big eyes and looked really cute. Oh my, little Lolas. When Song Yang saw such a cute little girl, he immediately took out a lollipop from his pocket with a smile. Come. Call me Big Brother. Big Brother will give you candy. Su Qingmei was speechless. Are you crazy? Ignoring Song Yang's lollipop, Su Qingmei happily ran over to Xie Chang'an and happily pulled his hand. Song Yang was speechless. Nanny. Little Lolas didn't even like to eat lollipops now. This didn't make sense. Everyone's here. Let's go. Yi Kanhuan waved his hands. You guys need to take care of your sisters as brothers. Chang'an, hold Qingmei's hand and don't let her run around. Gao Yu, lead Su Wan. Let's go. Song Yang, who was ignored again, was speechless. There were 3 large parks in Sea City. The one closest to Su Wan's home was Nanhu Park. This park still had fees. The entrance fee was 2 yuan per person. Of course, children didn't need to pay. Yi Kanhuan originally wanted to pay for the entrance fee himself. After all, he was the adult in this group. Cough. Although other than Song Yang, everyone else was fake underage. But when we arrived at the park entrance, young Master Song, who had been ignored, finally made his presence known. He took out a 10 yuan bill and shouted, "Keep the change. You can keep the rest as a tip." The park staff was speechless. Everyone, don't look at us. We don't know this idiot. Right now, it was autumn. The reeds by the lake were as tall as a person. There were many people rowing in the middle of the lake. Yi Kanhuan purposely rented 3 boats and then arranged Xie Chang'an and Su Qingmei on one without hesitation. Meanwhile, Su Rui and Su Wan had gotten on their own boat and then rowed away by themselves. Gone, gone. Song Yang was speechless. Cough. Teacher Xie. Song Yang looked at Yi Kanhuan gloomily. Qingmei and Chang'an are so small. Are you sure you want the 2 of them to row the boat? Nanny, you're joking, right? That's true. Yi Kanhuan just remembered that Xie Chang'an wasn't as small as Su Wan. He might not even be able to lift the oars. Right? I think I should. Song Yang was planning to get on the boat when he saw Yi Kanhuan jump onto the boat. I'll accompany the 2 of them. Song Yang, row the boat yourself. Chapter 366. The autumn breeze blew gently on the surface of the lake. Su Rui rowed the boat to the center of the lake and then stopped the boat. He comfortably stretched his legs and patted his knees. Come, wife, lie here. Su Wan smiled and laid on Su Rui's legs. After coming to this world, due to her age, Su Wan didn't have time to come out. This was her first time coming out to play. Although there was a large group of people, at least right now, there was only her and Su Rui here. Su Rui, do you know? When I was young, I really envied those children who had families to play with them. I'm really envious. No, I should say that I'm really jealous of them. Su Wan narrowed her eyes and looked at the azure sky. The sky in this era was really blue. Even the air was especially fresh. When she was young. Hearing Su Wan's words, Su Rui raised his hand and caressed her black hair with his slender fingers. Su Wan, can you tell me about your childhood? Other than knowing that she came from a collapsed plane, Su Rui knew nothing else about her past. When I was young, Su Wan blinked. Other than studying, my childhood was all about learning. I learned all kinds of etiquette, musical instruments, dance, and all kinds of financial knowledge. As for me, I should be a top student, right? Saying this, Su Wan couldn't help but smile to herself. Her parents' coldness and the family's infighting. Her childhood was dull and cold. I'm not a child that was blessed by others. Su Wan's gaze gradually turned sorrowful. She had never told anyone about her past. Other than Su, no one knew about her past. How should I put it? Su Wan sighed. My mother is the evil supporting female character in other people's eyes. She's the eldest miss of the Qin family. She was engaged to my father since she was young, but she wasn't the person my father liked. But in the end, for the family's benefits, the 2 still got together and even had me. The year I was born, my father's lover also had a child. She was born a month before me. Her name is Su Yu. Su Yu, that world's real female lead. They were sisters. They had almost the same appearance, but their lives were as different as heaven and earth. After my mother found out about Su Er's existence, she immediately paid someone to send her away. After losing her daughter, my father's true love fell ill and soon passed away. Because of this, my father and my mother had been in a cold war for many years, and my father didn't like my existence. Similarly, because I'm not a boy, my mother doesn't like me. She worked so hard to get pregnant, but in the end, she only gave birth to a useless daughter. Do you think she'll treat me well, wife? Hearing Su Wan's words, Su Rui lowered his head and bent down, pressing his forehead against Su Wan's forehead. Don't say it, don't think about it. It's all in the past, in the past. He didn't want to listen anymore. He didn't even dare to. How much had his beloved wife suffered in the past? How many tears had he shed? As long as he thought of this, Su Rui's heart would ache unbearably. He knew that everything Su Wan said was definitely the most insignificant thing in her life. She had even more bitter and painful things buried in the bottom of her heart. It's in the past. Su Wan took a deep breath and blinked, quietly looking at Su Rui's face. Yeah, it's all in the past. No matter if it was Su Yu, Qin Qing, Xing Yi, or Li Fei, they didn't exist anymore. The only person who could witness and participate in her past was Su Su. Su Su. Su Wan hadn't thought of that man's name in a long time. While the two of them were silent, Song Yang had already rowed the boat and rushed over. Su Rui was speechless. You're blind. Bringing you out was the biggest mistake I made today. No one else. Gao Yu, Gao Yu. Song Yang saw Su Rui's figure from afar and immediately rowed towards him with all his might. But as he rowed, his boat automatically changed direction and kept going in circles. Song Yang was speechless. Damn, did I run into a wall or something? Wait, what's going on? Song Yang's face paled. Seeing Su Rui nearby, he put down the oars and lifted his arms, shouting, Gao Yu, Gao Yu, hurry and come over. Su Rui and Su Wan also noticed Song Yang's strangeness, but they didn't move. They even turned around, pretending not to hear Song Yang's shout. Water controller, Yi Kanhuan. This was Yi Kanhuan's cheat. Su Rui had seen Yi Kanhuan's information before, so he naturally knew what his ability was. Song Yang, are you okay? Yi Kanhuan asked loudly from the other boat. Song Yang was so emotional he was about to cry hearing Yi Kanhuan's voice. Teacher Xie, I don't know what's wrong either. I just can't move the boat. Don't worry. Let me take a look. Not long later, Yi Kanhuan rowed the boat to Song Yang's side. Then he got up and jumped onto Song Yang's boat. The boat shook violently. Song Yang's heart jumped along with it. Luckily, Yi Kanhuan quickly stabilized the boat. Okay, it's okay. Yi Kanhuan smiled at Song Yang and then glanced at Xie Chang'an and Su Qingmei. Chang'an, look after Qingmei. Uncle will help brother Song Yang fix his boat first. Oh. Xie Chang'an nodded, hearing Yi Kanhuan's voice. Actually, he could row the boat himself. Plus, Xie Chang'an was a good swimmer, so he wasn't worried about any accidents happening. In order to create an opportunity for the male and female leads, Yi Kanhuan is trying his best. Su Rui looked at the situation and couldn't help but mutter to Su Wan, this is just the beginning. Yi Kanhuan has no bottom line. You'll find out how much of a scam he is in the future. Su Wan couldn't help but ridicule Su Rui. Qin Yu was definitely doing this on purpose. Su Wan would rather Qin Yu send Lin Ruo, that ruthless woman. It was better than Yi Kanhuan, who had no morals. Su Qingmei was only 5 right now. All Yi Kanhuan could do was create more opportunities for her to interact with Xie Chang'an. Then what about when she was 15? Without a doubt, Yi Kanhuan would throw Su Qingmei onto Xie Chang'an's bed. Su Wan sighed. There hadn't been any notifications from the mission. This meant that the future was unpredictable. Yi Kanhuan's method had a high possibility of success. After all, although Xie Chang'an didn't love Su Qingmei in his past life, he didn't hate her either. If Su Qingmei grasped it well in this life, and Yi Kanhuan was assisting her, the chances of the two of them being together was very high. Of course, if Su Wan made a move now, she could easily take back Xie Chang'an, who had his past life's memories from Su Qingmei. But Su Wan didn't want to use hypocritical feelings to hurt others anymore. In the past, she was blinded by hatred. That was why she coldly used innocent people's feelings. Actually, what difference was there between her and Su Su? For her own mission, she didn't hesitate to trample on other people's feelings and ruin their sincerity. She didn't want to be a mission enforcer like this anymore. Actually, Xie Chang'an didn't do anything wrong. He really was a good man. Even if he was reborn, he deserved to have a good woman. As for Su Qingmei, Su Wan couldn't help but look at Su Qingmei, who was leaning against Xie Chang'an and smiling brightly. A leopard couldn't change its spots. Su Wan didn't believe that Su Qingmei's personality would completely change if she was reborn. Chapter 367. In the blink of an eye, it was the end of the semester. In order to not attract too much attention, Suwon only went from the bottom of the class to the middle of the class during the final exam. This was her best result ever. During the parent-teacher conference, Yi Kanhwan even smiled and praised Suwon and Luli, who came to attend the parent-teacher conference. Suwon has improved a lot. Of course, this has to do with her hard work and her parents' supervision. Hearing Yi Kanhwan speak confidently on the podium and seeing Lu Li's beaming smile, Suwon just wanted to say that she did work hard. She worked hard every day. Sleep. This was the first time Lu Li didn't arrange chores for Suwon during the winter break. Instead, she smiled and asked if she wanted to sign up for a special class during the break. Suwon naturally shook her head and refused. Nanny. The homework in class already made her speechless. How big of a heart was she? She wanted to sign up for an extracurricular class? She refused. She firmly refused. High school classes had always been tight. After Suwon's break, Su Rue would only come to the Su family every few days because he was too busy. At the end of the year, Su Rue finally had his winter break, but Dong Yuan wanted to bring him back to the Dong family in the capital. Because he knew that he had to stay in this world for over a decade, he naturally had to get along well with his family. Su Rue didn't want Gao Yu's parents to notice their son's abnormality. Therefore, he obediently packed his clothes and booked a plane ticket back to the capital. Before leaving Sea City, Su Rue went to see Suwon again. This time, he bought a bunch of gifts and gave all of his pocket money to Suwon. He was really afraid that Luli wouldn't treat Suwon well and take her man's money. Seeing Su Rue's reluctant expression, Suwon couldn't help but pull his hand. A month will pass quickly. We need to get used to life in this world. You'll be in the 3rd year of high school next year. When you go to university, we might still be separated. But 4 years will pass very quickly, really. For years, Su Rue never thought that he and Suwon would be separated in a mission world. In the 2nd year, because he was in the 3rd year of high school, Su Rue came to the Su family less and less often. However, he would often buy things for Su Guiyang and Lu Li. Su Rue even used his family's connections to find Su Guiyang's work unit and had the leader of the unit prioritize the Su family when distributing housing. In the year of Su Rue's college entrance examination, Su Guiyang's family also moved to a new house. After moving out of the courtyard house and moving into the staff's family building, Lu Li straightened her back even more. Her attitude towards Suwon had taken a 180-degree turn. She knew how Su Rue treated Suwon. With such a capable and wealthy relative, she naturally had to grab hold of him. Putting aside the fact that Suwon called her mother, as long as they had a wealthy life, Lu Li wouldn't hesitate to call Suwon mom even if you told her to. Seeing that Suwon's family was far away from the Xie family, Su Rue could finally take the college entrance exam in peace. According to Dong Yuan and Gao Jian, Su Rue applied for the capital's university. With his grades, he should be able to get in. On the day of the graduation party, Song Yang hugged Su Rue and didn't let go. His snot and tears covered Su Rue's body. Thankfully, there didn't seem to be fujoshis in this era. Therefore, the male and female students in the class just smiled understandingly at Song Yang's melancholy. Only Su Rue knew what Song Yang was thinking. Master Gao, who could defeat 100 people, left. How could Master Song continue to act cool? How old are you? Why are you crying? Isn't it just the capital's university? If you can't get in, your father will pay for you to go. The capital's my territory. I'll continue to act cool and bring you flying. Su Rue patted Song Yang's shoulder proudly. Song Yang, right? Why didn't I think of that? Amen. Then it's decided. Therefore, because of Su Rue's words, passerby Song Yang's fate in this world changed. When the party ended, many people were reluctant to leave. Countless female students stuffed love letters into Su Rue's arms. Su Rue was speechless. General Su, who felt like no one was pursuing him, received countless love letters on graduation day. He didn't feel good. Gao Yu, I like you. A drunk girl confessed loudly under the influence of alcohol. The others jeered as they waited for the brainiac's reaction. Gao Yu was a legend in Shursen High School. He studied well, came from a good family, and was handsome. He was a typical tall, rich, and handsome scholar. All the boys in Shursen High School added together couldn't compare to Gao Yu. Because he was too aloof and perfect, no girl dared to confess in front of him. No one dared to make a move on this aloof Adonis. Thankfully, now that he graduated, he could finally shout out his thoughts. Under everyone's expectations, under the girl's sparkling gaze, Su Rue just faintly smiled. I already have someone I like. Crack. This was the sound of countless hearts shattering. The girl who finally mustered up the courage to confess immediately cried. She thought that she was the prettiest girl in Shursen High School. Why didn't Gao Yu like her? Who was better than her? I don't believe you. Under the influence of alcohol, she couldn't help but take a few steps forward and stare at Su Rue. You can reject me, but don't lie to me like this. How did Gao Yu have a girlfriend? No one in Shursen High School had ever seen him get close to any girl. The only person who hung out with him was Song Yang, and Song Yang had a big mouth. If Gao Yu really had a girlfriend, he would definitely make it known to the whole world. Su Rue curled his lips seeing the girl's disbelieving gaze. Yang, you're called Yangning, right? If you don't believe me, I'll take you to see her tomorrow. Okay. Yang Ning immediately agreed to Su Rue's words. She really wanted to see which school's beauty snatched away her sweetheart. I'm going too. Song Yang couldn't help but pat Su Rue's shoulder. Gao Yu, you're good. You hid your wife so well. Do you think I can steal her from you? The next day, Su Rue seriously called Yang Ning. At this time, Yang Ning, who had already sobered up, was regretting her rash actions yesterday. When she received Su Rue's call, she was already embarrassed to death. But thinking that she could see Gao Yu's girlfriend, she clenched her teeth and finally agreed. Yang Ning found her most beautiful dress at home and went to the hairdresser downstairs to get it styled. Only then did she leave confidently. Even if she couldn't make Gao Yu like her, at least she couldn't lose face in front of her love rival. Yang Ning saw Su Rue and Song Yang right away when she arrived at the agreed place. Hi. She waved at the two awkwardly. Song Yang's gaze brightened seeing Yang Ning's fashionable and beautiful outfit. I didn't expect our class beauty to be so beautiful when she's dressed up. Gao Yu, do you regret it? Su Rue glanced at Song Yang but didn't say anything. Let's go. Saying this, Su Rue walked forward alone. Not long later, the three of them arrived outside Shursen Elementary School. It was the end of school right now. Chapter 368. Did Gao Yu like mature women? Yang Ning was shocked by her own thoughts. Song Yang habitually went to the store to buy 2 lollipops and then 2 bottles of water for Su Rue and Yang Ning. While eating the lollipop, he asked Su Rue, Gao Yu, are we going to pick Xiaowan up from school first? Su Rue didn't say anything. Yang Ning finally let out a sigh of relief hearing Song Yang's words. So they were here to pick up students from school. Not long after, along with the tide of people leaving school, Su Wan's figure appeared in the line of sight of the 3 people. Because of good nutrition in the past year, Su Wan had grown a lot taller. Her height was now almost 1.4 meters, and her fair little face was chubby with cute baby fat. Seeing Su Rue and Song Yang, Su Wan smiled and waved at them. When Su Wan's gaze landed on Yang Ning, her gaze flickered. Her woman's intuition told her that this was definitely her love rival, but her level was too low. One look, and you could tell that she was cannon fodder. No, it should be said that all love rivals were cannon fodder in Su Wan's eyes. You guys are here. Su Wan smiled at Su Rue and Song Yang. She lifted her arm and tossed her school bag to Su Rue. I'm so envious that you guys will be free after the college entrance exam. Haha, don't worry. You'll grow up eventually. Song Yang couldn't help but laugh hearing Su Wan's words. Then he looked at Su Rue anxiously. Let's go. You can take us to see your girlfriend now, right? To be honest, Song Yang cared more about Su Rue's matters than his own. As a qualified lackey, how could he not know that his boss had a girlfriend? What a failure. A complete failure. Last night, he did some self-reflection. Song Yang decided that he must leave a heroic image in front of his future sister-in-law today and then hug her thigh tightly. Amen. He happily decided. Hearing Song Yang's words, Su Rue smiled gently and touched Su Wan's hair. Didn't I bring you guys here to see? Wife, hurry and greet them. Hi. Su Wan smiled brightly at Song Yang and Yang Ning. I'm Su Wan, Gao Yu's fiancé. Song Yang. It must be the way I ate my lollipop today. Yang Ning, I'm still drunk from yesterday. This is an illusion, definitely an illusion. What happened to the noble and elegant rival in love? What happened to a showdown? Damn it. What's with this cute little Lolita with a bun face? Seeing Song Yang and Yang Ning's shocked expressions, Su Wan shrugged at Su Rue. Su Rue grabbed her hand out of habit. Wife, let's go. Let's go home and let them calm down. Su Wan, are you sure it's okay to calm down for a while? At this moment, who could imagine the shadow in Yang Ning's heart? This was definitely a psychological scar for the rest of his life. The tall, rich, and handsome male god didn't like the school belle, but the little Lolita. Damn. Yang Ning felt that she would never trust men again. Yang Ning couldn't help but tremble and say, Song Yang, Gao Yu, he's joking with us, right? Joking? For a moment, Song Yang thought that Su Rue was joking too. But seeing how close he was to Su Wan, Song Yang recalled everything that happened between them and he immediately understood. So that's what happened. At this moment, the door to a new world opened for Song Yang. He's not lying. Leaving behind these words, Song Yang chased after Su Rue. Gao Yu, wait for me. Wait for me. Su Rue didn't care too much about Yang Ning's matter. After this incident, Song Yang finally found out about Su Rue and Su Wan's relationship. Right now, he also received a brand new skill from General Su, talking about how to raise a wife. It meant Su Wan was his sister-in-law now, so he shouldn't think about her anymore. Ah, sister-in-law's sister looks innocent and cute. Is she suitable to be his wife? That's right. Song Yang actually wanted Su Qingmei. If Su Rue knew what he was thinking, he would definitely light candles for him. A woman like Su Qingmei definitely wasn't suitable for an idiot like Song Yang. Su Qingmei was 6.5 years old now. She was going to enter primary school in autumn. Ever since the Su family moved, Su Qingmei had been sad. Because she was too young, Luli didn't allow her to go downstairs to play by herself. She hadn't seen Xie Chang'an in a long time. She wondered how brother Chang'an was doing. The only thing that made Su Qingmei happy was that Gao Yu was finally going to university. After he went to university in the capital, he wouldn't appear in front of her often anymore. In the blink of an eye, it was September and the new semester had started. Su Rue and Song Yang both went to the capital university. This semester, Xie Chang'an was in the 6th grade and Su Wan was in the 4th grade. Su Qingmei also became a 1st grade student. Seeing that Xie Chang'an was about to graduate, Su Qingmei naturally made use of all the time she had in school to make her presence known in front of Xie Chang'an. On the other hand, Su Wan had calmed down because of Su Rue's departure. Other than listening to class, she was sleeping. Her grades had always been above average too. Yi Huan was happy to see Su Wan slacking off like this. He had already started buying a house near Su family's residential building. Childhood sweethearts naturally had to grow up together. The pavilion closest to the water gets moonlight first. A year later, Xie Chang'an entered Shursen High and the Xie family moved near Su Wan's home. Yi Huan found an excuse for Xie Chang'an to tutor Su Qingmei at the Su family. Luli and Su Guoyang naturally had no objections to Yi Huan's arrangement. As for Xie Chang'an, he tutored Su Qingmei for 3 years. Right now, Xie Chang'an had grown into an elegant young man. With his grades, he could have chosen a better high school, but he still chose Shursen High without hesitation. He knew that with Su Wan's grades and family background, Su Wan would definitely get into Shursen High. Even if they were just schoolmates for a year, Xie Chang'an felt satisfied. Unfortunately, what made Xie Chang'an and everyone else dumbfounded was that Su Wan entered Sea City's best high school with the highest grades in the city 2 years later. The day Su Wan's grades came out, the entire neighborhood was in an uproar. Su Guoyang especially threw a banquet for Su Wan. Her colleagues from the factory, Shursan Hai's teachers, and the principal all came. Luli couldn't stop smiling. Right now, she felt like she had a lot of face in the residential building. Being first in the city was such an honor. She was the top scholar in ancient times. The more Luli looked at Su Wan, the more she liked her. On the other hand, Su Qingmei hadn't improved at all after Xie Chang'an tutored her for so many years. This made Luli really annoyed. Qingmei, learn from your sister. In the future, you can also get first in the city. Every time Su Qingmei heard her mother's words, she would just smile faintly. She was actually curious as to why Su Wan suddenly became so powerful. One had to know that Su Qingmei had been reborn. Even so, she couldn't guarantee that she could answer all the questions correctly during the high school entrance exam. In her past life, Su Qingmei's grades were average. Plus, she spent most of her time in school dating. She didn't put her mind on studying at all. Even if she was reborn, she never thought about studying and using knowledge to change her fate. Chapter 369. Su Rue had graduated from the capital university. According to Gao Yu's original plan, he would start as a high school teacher and then step-by-step enter the official circle. This was the life path that Gao Jian had planned for his son. But after Su Rue graduated, he didn't do what Gao Jian had planned. He registered a company and started an internet business. In this era, the internet in the country had just started. It was an era of great success. As for Song Yang, who had graduated with Su Rue, he wasn't that lucky. He was caught by his grandfather to become an English teacher in Shursen High School. He was in charge of teaching grade 1 class 4. This was Su Qingmei's class. Su Qingmei's grades had always been mediocre. But because of her sweet appearance, she became a popular person in school. Although she was only in grade 1, many people in the entire grade were chasing after her. During lunch break, a handsome guy blocked Su Qingmei's way in the hallway and confessed to her. Song Yang happened to pass by and saw everything. He couldn't help but sigh. Damn, times really have changed. Why wasn't he this open when he was in middle school? Seeing Su Qingmei's unwilling expression, Song Yang couldn't help but walk up and call her. Qingmei, why aren't you eating? Teacher Song. Su Qingmei's expression brightened seeing Song Yang. In the past, Su Rue would often bring Song Yang to the Su family in high school. Su Qingmei was familiar with Song Yang and understood his personality. She knew that he was a good person. Teacher Song, I happen to have a few English questions that I don't know. Can you teach me? Su Qingmei winked at Song Yang. Song Yang smiled faintly. Okay, I'm done eating too. Come to my office. Some people could wash themselves clean after being reborn and keep a low profile. Some people, on the other hand, wanted to be radiant and arrogant after being reborn. Clearly, Su Qingmei belonged to the latter. In her past life, she had such a good appearance, but Gao Yu still caused her to lose everything. Now that she was reborn, she felt that she should be the center of attention. Especially after Su Wan entered number 1 high school with the best results in the city. All the teachers in the school were looking at her. Everyone knew that she was Su Wan's younger sister, so it was inevitable that they would compare her with Su Wan. Actually, Su Qingmei was also holding it in. In her past life, she didn't study properly. After going to university, she had been messing around. Now, she finally wanted to work hard, but she couldn't calm down and study at all. Right now, Xie Chang'an was preparing for his college entrance exams and didn't have time to tutor Su Qingmei. Coincidentally, Song Yang came to Shursen High at this time. This made Su Qingmei's mind light up. No matter what, Song Yang was a top student of the capital university. Moreover, he was an English teacher. His English was excellent both in written and spoken English. Therefore, Su Qingmei used the excuse of asking Song Yang questions to frequently run to his office. In the end, she finally managed to convince Song Yang to tutor her at home. This should have been a good thing, but for some reason, the school started secretly spreading news that Su Qingmei liked teacher Song and was trying to seduce him. This news spread like wildfire. Everyone in the grade looked at Su Qingmei strangely. These rumors slowly entered Su Qingmei's ears. She immediately recalled the events of her past life. The teacher-student relationship in her past life was a pain she would never be able to forget. Because of those rumors, Su Qingmei took a week of sick leave. Later, Luli found out about what happened in school. She immediately ran to the school and caused a ruckus, causing the rumors in the school to become more and more exaggerated. In the end, Su Wan found Su Rue, and he used his connections to transfer Su Qingmei to another school. Su Qingmei's new school was the best private school in Sea City. Because of Su Rue, the school didn't charge Su Qingmei extra fees. Su Qingmei quickly adapted to the new environment. No matter if it was her past life or this life, she had never gone to such a good private school since she came from an ordinary family. In this new environment, Su Qingmei got to know friends that she never knew in her past life. This school was a concentration camp for the second generation of rich people and officials. Any random student in the class was either tall, rich, handsome, or beautiful from head to toe. If this was her past life, Su Qingmei would have felt inferior entering a school like this. But in this life, she was someone who had been reborn. Su Qingmei had the mindset of an adult. She used her own way of doing things to make many friends. While Su Qingmei was busy making friends in the noble school, Xie Chang'an welcomed the most important day of his life. The college entrance exam was coming. Before the college entrance exam, the primary and middle schools in the city were on vacation because they needed to take up the exam grounds. Xie Chang'an called Su Wan in advance and asked her to meet at a milk tea shop near his home. When Su Wan arrived, Xie Chang'an had been waiting by the window for a while. Seeing Su Wan's figure, he stood up and waved at her with a smile. "You're here." "Amen," Su Wan responded and quietly sat across from Xie Chang'an. "I ordered pearl milk tea for you. Do you like it?" From Xie Chang'an's memory, Su Wan really liked that flavor of milk tea. Hearing Xie Chang'an's words, Su Wan glanced at him faintly. "It's okay. I'm not picky." "Xie Chang'an, do you need something?" It was said that graduation season was also confession season. Xie Chang'an had received a lot of love letters these days. He kept thinking that it was about time. Su Wan was in high school now. He should at least let her understand his feelings before the college entrance exam. "Su Wan, I." Xie Chang'an opened his mouth and looked at Su Wan with a gentle gaze. "Su Wan, I like you." "Oh." Hearing Xie Chang'an's words, Su Wan responded faintly. Xie Chang'an was speechless. "Su Wan, do you like me?" Seeing that Su Wan didn't have any reaction, Xie Chang'an hesitated and asked again. Actually, a few years ago, Xie Chang'an discovered that everyone's life trajectory in this life had more or less changed from his past life. Therefore, Su Wan's attitude towards him was completely different from his past life. He had calmly accepted it a long time ago. However, Xie Chang'an still had one last hope in his heart. Since Su Wan had fallen in love with him in his past life, then he should have a chance to make Su Wan fall in love with him in this life. There must be a chance. "I don't like it." At this time, Su Wan suddenly lifted her head and looked faintly at Xie Chang'an. She uttered these words indifferently. "Don't like it." Xie Chang'an should have expected this. He smiled bitterly. "Then do you like Gao Yu?" "I do." This time, Su Wan answered without hesitation. "Heh." Xie Chang'an laughed self-deprecatingly. That's good, that's good. This way, I can apply to a foreign university in peace. Leave this place and go to a place he had never been to before. Start a new and exciting life. God gave him a chance to be reborn. He didn't have to repeat his past life's path, right? Chapter 370. The day Xie Chang'an left Sea City, the sky was gloomy and there was even a drizzle. This really was a day of parting. The train station was filled with parents sending their students off. Yi Kanhuan didn't understand Xie Chang'an's choice. He originally thought that Xie Chang'an would stay in Sea City. Who knew that this guy would apply to a law university in the south when he wasn't paying attention? Was he planning on becoming a lawyer in the future? Other than Xie Chang'an's parents and Yi Kanhuan, Su Wan and Su Qingmei also came to the train station to send Xie Chang'an off. Su Qingmei knew that Xie Chang'an studied finance in his past life, but in this life, he got into another university's law faculty with excellent grades. It seemed like this world was really different from the one she experienced. Su Qingmei originally thought that she was the female lead who was reborn with a golden finger. She thought that she could torture scumbags and find a good man to live with. But now, she was at a loss. If this world wasn't her original world, then what was the point of persevering? Now that Xie Chang'an was about to get on the train heading south, should she confess to him? In her past life, Su Qingmei was the first to confess to Xie Chang'an and immediately captured the young man's heart. But now, when she was reborn, she told herself to hold on to this good man tightly. But now, she suddenly realized that everything was different. Su Qingmei hesitated. Did she love Xie Chang'an? Did she? Su Qingmei didn't know. After she was reborn, she kept telling herself to stay away from Gao Yu and hold on to Xie Chang'an. But in reality, did she love Xie Chang'an? No. She couldn't make do with love. Love was love. If she didn't love, then she didn't love. She was just regretful and regretful. Regretful that she didn't meet a good man. Regretful that she was greedy and vain. When the train roared and left, Su Qingmei hesitated when she saw the jade-like young man reach out his hand to say goodbye to everyone. In the end, she didn't say anything. She missed it in her past life. What about this life? She'd just go with the flow. On the way back, Su Qingmei walked in front with a heavy heart. Yi Kanhuan, who had been purposely dragging his steps, couldn't help but look at Su Wan. I thought that the female lead would confess to him before leaving. Damn, she didn't even follow the script. Can't we have fun? This is the truest life. Su Wan glanced at Yi Kanhuan. If you don't love a woman, no matter how nice she is to you, you won't love her. Love isn't pity or making do. If a woman you don't love died for you, then if you were reborn, would you be willing to love her for the rest of your life? Yi Kanhuan wore a conflicted expression hearing her question. Damn, this question is so difficult. Love or not love? If he loved her, it would be a little unfair to himself. If he didn't love her, it would be too cruel to her. Wait, there seems to be something wrong? Fuck. Yi Kanhuan slapped his legs. No one even loves me when I'm naked. Why the hell am I even thinking about this? The premise of this matter is that there must be a girl who loves me. Su Wan. Yi Kanhuan, that's enough. Seeing Su Wan's expression, Yi Kanhuan put his hand on Su Wan's shoulder. Before he could say anything, he felt a wave of coldness seeping into his heart. Damn. Yi Kanhuan immediately let go of Su Wan's shoulder as if he was electrocuted. Then he pretended to look around leisurely. As expected, he saw Su Rue in a black Audi at the corner of the street. Master Gao was a boss driving an Audi while he was still a bitter primary school teacher. He had to deal with a group of brats every day. Yi Kanhuan's heart was raining right now. Take Qingmei back. Su Wan also saw Su Rue's car. She ordered Yi Kanhuan and then quickly walked towards Su Rue's car. Yi Kanhuan was speechless. We're opponents. Is it okay for you guys to treat me like a nanny? Although Yi Kanhuan cursed countless times in his heart, he could only sigh as he looked at the female lead who was still wandering around in a daze. Su Rue stubbornly followed his wife and didn't even care about the mission. His wife was the most important. As for him, the world was big, but the mission was the most important. After Su Wan got in the car, Su Rue immediately started the car. How is it? Did Su Qingmei confess? Su Rue asked. Today was a really important day. Although it couldn't immediately determine the success or failure of the mission, Su Qingmei's performance today was closely related to the future plan. No. Su Wan leaned against the seat and smiled. If she confessed, she'd have at least a 50% chance of getting Xie Chang'e. But after working hard all these years, she hesitated in the end. Maybe she hesitated a long time ago. Su Rue chuckled while driving. Back then, you purposely found people to spread rumors about her, and then told me to use my connections to transfer her to a private school. You already thought of this, right? Su Qingmei is Lu Li's daughter. Both mother and daughter are unreliable women. Lu Li's looks are average, so even if she's restless, she doesn't have the qualifications. But Su Qingmei was born beautiful. Even if she was reborn, she still doesn't have any ambitions. Her mind is filled with love. A woman like her will get restless when she meets someone with good qualifications. With a bunch of young, handsome, and rich classmates, she naturally won't be as enthusiastic when she looks at Xie Chang'e. Su Wan closed her eyes and nodded. It was hard to change a person's nature. Since Su Qingmei could give up on Xie Chang'e for Gao Yu in the past life, then she could give up on Xie Chang'e for Zhao Yu and Wang Yu in this life. Forgetting the pain after the scar healed. This was a common problem for most people. A year later, Yi Kanhuan was eating with Xie Chang'e when the mission failed notification popped up in his head. At that time, he was completely stunned. Yi Kanhuan always thought that Xie Chang'e was the most unstable factor in this world. In order to stop Xie Chang'e from dating in university, Yi Kanhuan even quit his job and went to the city where Xie Chang'e was studying. He opened a company here and enjoyed life while urging Xie Chang'e to focus on his studies and not to date. Originally, Yi Kanhuan had planned to wait until Su Qingmei turned 16, and then he would think of a way to get her and Xie Chang'e on the same bed. Then he would succeed immediately. But he didn't expect the mission to fail before he could even execute his plan. This didn't make sense, okay? What happened to the supposed reborn female lead pestering her childhood sweetheart male lead? What happened to the touching story of the reborn female lead looking for her true love? Uncle, what's wrong? Xie Chang'an couldn't help but call him, seeing Yi Kanhuan holding his chopsticks in a daze. Yi Kanhuan looked at Xie Chang'an gloomily. Chang'an, tell me the truth. What do you think of Su Qingmei? Childhood friend? She's pretty good. Xie Chang'an replied while nodding. In his past life, Su Qingmei was stubborn and immature, but she seemed to have changed a lot in this life. At least, she was more mature than he remembered. Then do you like her? Like? For some reason, Xie Chang'an suddenly thought of the girl who courageously confessed to him in his past life. At that moment, he liked her, right? But that was in his past life, wasn't it? Seeing that Xie Chang'an didn't say anything, Yi Kanhuan sighed to himself. He failed the mission, so why was he still conflicted? So what if Xie Chang'an liked Su Qingmei? Su Qingmei actually fell in love with someone else in this life. As expected, reborn women were unreliable. Right now, Sea City. Su Qingmei and a handsome young man walked hand in hand on the street. It was like a scene from countless romance novels. The young woman and young man strolled hand in hand on the quiet street. Behind them was a low-key luxury car. Right now, Su Qingmei felt sweet inside. The young man was the son of a high-ranking official in Sea City. He chased after her for a year. No matter how cold she was, he didn't give up. Gradually, Su Qingmei was moved by his ferocious attacks. Right now, Su Wan and Su Rue had announced their relationship in front of the Su family. Although Su Guoyang was a bit against it in the beginning, under Su Rue's assurance, and after seeing Su Wan's outstanding grades, Su Guoyang still tacitly agreed to their relationship. Lu Li's thoughts were different from Su Guoyang's. She saw that Su Rue opened a company and drove a car. She liked him a lot. Who in the neighborhood didn't know that she had a future son-in-law who was a boss? In comparison, Lu Li increasingly felt that Su Wan was more promising than her biological daughter, Su Qingmei. Young Master Yin had chased after her multiple times, gifting her cosmetics and high-grade tonics. Her daughter didn't know what was good for her and didn't even want to be friends with him. Although she was young and started dating early, she couldn't miss out on a good man. As long as she had a bottom line, Lu Li approved of her daughter dating those young masters. Therefore, under the other party's offensive and Lu Li's instigation, Su Qingmei finally decided to date Yin Ming. The two were attached to each other when they first got together. Because Yin Ming's father's position was higher than Gao Jian's, Su Qingmei felt that she could finally hold her head high in front of Su Wan. Unfortunately, good times didn't last long. After the two had been together for half a year, the hot-blooded Yin Ming didn't plan on continuing to be a monk. He wanted to be intimate with Su Qingmei. Su Qingmei, who had been hurt in her past life, naturally resisted this kind of thing. In the end, the two parted on bad terms. Not long after, Yin Ming found a new girlfriend. Plus, he told everyone in school that he had slept with Su Qingmei and that he didn't want her. Su Qingmei was furious when she found out that she was broken up. Then, she heard Yin Ming slandering her. Su Qingmei went crazy. She rushed to Yin Ming's class to reason with him, but Yin Ming had a lot of power in the school. Su Qingmei wasn't his match by herself at all. Just when she thought that she was going to drop out of school under everyone's disdain, Yin Ming suddenly dropped out of school because of his injuries. Not only that, he even went to the Su family to apologize to Su Qingmei with his injuries. Plus, everyone's opinion on Yin Ming and Su Qingmei's matter had changed in an instant. Up until Yin Ming's family left Sea City did Su Qingmei find out that the person who settled this matter for her was Gao Yu, the person she had been avoiding. Why did you help me? Su Qingmei found Su Rue with complicated feelings after finding out the truth. I didn't help you. I just don't like scum. Su Rue looked at Su Qingmei calmly. Of course. You're Su Wan's sister, and in the future, you'll be my sister too. You can think of it as me helping you. Su Wan. Was it because of her sister again? Su Qingmei suddenly recalled the scene of her lying on the hospital bed in her past life. Why did you help me? She had asked Xie Chang'an this too. How did Xie Chang'an answer then? You're Xiao Wan's sister, so you're my sister. Of course I have to help you. Xie Chang'an had said it clearly that he was doing it for her sister. But she, on the other hand, had thought that he had helped her because he still had feelings for her. Heh, How funny was that? At this moment, Su Qingmei finally recognized the reality. No matter if it was her past life or this life, she was a failure. God gave her a second chance. She was already the lucky one among millions of people, but she still repeated the same mistakes. Was it because he had always met bad people, or was it because he had eyes but failed to see? Su Qingmei still had a long life ahead of her. What should she do in the future? Su Wan and Su Rui didn't know and didn't want to care. They finished their mission and started to leave this world. Chapter 371. When Su Wan exited the mission world, it was already night in the lost time-space. As soon as she left the connection room, the communicator on Su Wan's wrist immediately rang. All the communications were from Exin. Su Wan walked out of the connection room and directly connected the communicator. Exin's slightly tired figure immediately appeared on the floating screen of the communicator. Su Wan, are you okay? HM? Su Wan looked at Exin somewhat inexplicably. Your last mission had a space overlay. Exin saw Su Wan's expression and immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It seems like there's nothing on your side. Ding Jujia's mission space also had a space overlay. She's still trapped there. Su Wan, I'm busy right now. Can you go and save her? I've already applied to the headquarters for permission to enter the mission space a second time. According to the rules of the Lost Time Space headquarters, each department in each mission space only had one chance to enter. Of course, sometimes special things could be applied for special treatment. Just like Su last time, a department could also have 2 mission enforcers enter at the same time. Save her? Su Wan heard Exin's anxious tone and her expression immediately changed. Did Ding Jujia's world have that kind of existence? That's right. Exin sighed. It's the law enforcer. Space-time law enforcer. They were responsible for erasing all the destroyers in the space under their jurisdiction. Whether you transmigrated, reborn, or counterattacked with the system, all the destroyers of order were targets to be erased by the space-time law enforcer. Therefore, the plane destroyer was naturally regarded as one of the targets to be hunted. Of course, in the long river of time and space, there were thousands of planes. The probability of mission enforcers encountering the space-time law enforcer was very low. Some mission enforcers would never encounter space-time overlay in their entire lives, let alone the legendary law enforcer. Ding Jujia was unlucky. Su Wan sighed. Okay, I know the trial is about to start. I'll save her before the trial starts. Okay, I'll immediately send you the information of that time-space mission. Exin immediately relaxed when she heard Su Wan's answer. Actually, she was already at the headquarters and the trial was about to start. This might be Su Wan and Ding Jujia's last mission before the trial. Exin believed that Su Wan definitely had a way to bring Ding Jujia back. The two people cut off the communication and Su Wan immediately received the mission information from Exin. Seeing the information in the mission world, Su Wan felt that her whole person was not good. Damn Ding Jujia, couldn't she have chosen a more normal world? Sure enough, if you don't court death, you won't die. Damn, Su Wan suddenly felt a bit regretful. She shouldn't have promised Exin to save her and let her be trapped in that world for a lifetime. Mission world. Darkness. Endless darkness. Apart from darkness, there was only a faint blood-red color in the sky. The blood-red moon hung high in the sky, emitting a demonic red glow. This was an endless abyss. Here, it was a paradise of sin. When Su Wan opened her eyes again, she found herself lying on a large bed in a palace. The palace was filled with all kinds of blood-colored runes and dark purple curtains hung in every corner of the palace. She hesitated for a moment and slowly sat up from the big bed. Looking down at the black leather clothes on her body, Su Wan frowned. She raised her hand and touched the top of her head. Sure enough, she felt 2 small horns. Your Highness, you're awake? At this time, a young girl wearing a black dress hurriedly walked in. She had an astonishing appearance, purple eyes, and a huge blue crystal necklace hanging on the young girl's chest. As she walked, the blue crystal on her chest was constantly emitting a soft light. Azure crystal. Su Wan narrowed her eyes. When the young girl walked in front of her, she suddenly raised her hand and forcefully pulled off the crystal necklace on the young girl's neck. The young girl cried out in surprise. Seeing Su-won take away the necklace, the young girl's expression turned a bit ugly. Your Highness, this is father. No, this is bestowed by the Lord. The young girl wanted to say something, but before she finished speaking, her tears flowed first. Sparkling and translucent tears streaked across her fair and delicate face. It was really pitiful. Su-won sneered and slowly got up from the big bed. She played with the azure crystal in her hand and walked step by step to a corner of the main hall. There was a magic mirror floating there. The bright mirror reflected Su-won's current appearance. She was a demon from the abyss. She was petite and had black hair and black eyes. In the endless abyss, this was the lowest race. Low-class slaves. Right. She wasn't the high and mighty lord's daughter right now. She was a demon's slave. Your Highness Su. At this time, a demon maid's voice rang from outside the main hall. Your Highness Su, Mr. Asino is here. He's waiting for you in the outer hall. Oh. When the young girl in the hall heard the maid's words, she immediately wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and hurriedly turned to leave. When she walked to the door, she seemed to have thought of something. She turned her head and looked at Su-won. Your Highness, don't worry. I will quickly find a way to change back my body. Heh. Seeing the figure of the young girl leaving with quick steps, Su-won turned around and put that piece of azure crystal on her neck, and then coldly sneered. That's right. The two of them switched bodies. The young girl called her Highness Su was actually a demon from the abyss. Her name was Lika. Lika was a succubus that Her Highness Su bought to do magic experiments. At the time, Her Highness Su was researching an ancient forbidden soul spell. Because there was a deviation in the experiment, Her Highness Su's soul and Lika's soul were switched. Their souls entered each other's bodies. Therefore, Lika became the high and mighty Her Highness, while Her Highness Su became a low-class succubus who couldn't speak. It had already been a month since the two of them had exchanged identities. Because Su was usually an experimental maniac, she rarely interacted with others, so no one in the entire palace knew that their Highness had already changed her core. With regards to her new identity, Her Highness Su was very calm. She continued to hide in her laboratory in the palace hall and continued to study magic. Meanwhile, Lika used her identity to receive her father's love while also having an ambiguous relationship with her fiancé, Asino. At the same time, she always said innocently that she would definitely think of a way to help Her Highness switch bodies. Switch my ass. According to what Su-won knew, this fake highness was a true charming woman. She didn't return the body to the original owner until the end. She used Her Highness Su's body to successfully marry Asino, the future Devil King. From then on, she lived a superior life. Chapter 372. After Lika left, Su-won turned and entered Her Highness Su's laboratory. The laboratory was in the dark room of the palace. There were magic lamps hanging in the room, and all sorts of experimental equipment were placed in the laboratory. Su-won followed the original body's memory and found some useful things in the pile of experimental materials. Then she immediately threw herself into a new experiment. Not long later, Su-won created a bottle of dark blue magic medicine. Su-won smiled faintly looking at her work. She tilted her head back and drank all of the medicine. Blue light flickered in her eyes. In reality, the demon race was the same as the demonic women. They were a race with a low population and poor reproductive abilities. Plus, they were born with innate talents that no one could compare to. The demonic women could use their bodies as weapons to confuse anyone. As for the demon race, their weapons were their voices. The demon race's voices were naturally charming and could make people hallucinate. If used well, the destructive power of their voices was really strong. Therefore, all the succubi that appeared in the market were sealed. After they were captured, there would be specialized demon mages using sealing techniques to seal their innate skills. Therefore, all the succubi slaves could not speak. But this little trick wasn't worth mentioning to Her Highness Su. She could create a medicine to remove the seal at any time and restore her voice. But in the original plot, Her Highness Su didn't care about this small matter. She had been immersed in her magic and alchemy world. Until one day, She came out of the laboratory and discovered that Lika was using her body to have sex with Asino in her palace. This made Her Highness Su furious. The dignity of the demon race's nobility couldn't be trampled on. Her Highness Su wanted to punish Lika, but Asino stopped her. Seeing that her identity was about to be exposed, Lika immediately cried and begged for Her Highness Su's forgiveness. Then, she pitifully told Asino that she wasn't the real Her Highness and that she couldn't help but fall in love with Asino recently. That was why she did this. After knowing the truth, Asino didn't hurt Lika. Instead, he imprisoned Her Highness Su in the secret room and used magic to seal the exit of the secret room. It turned out that Asino already had the ambition to take over Stankoto's territory. He had purposely befriended Her Highness Su to gain Lord Stankoto's trust and slowly take over his territory. Now that Lika's identity was exposed, Asino immediately had a new plan. He imprisoned the real Her Highness Su and then worked with Lika. Finally, he successfully commanded his demon army to invade Beak City and became the new overlord here. At that time, the flames of war were everywhere, and the entire lord's mansion was filled with mournful wails. When the real Her Highness Su broke the seal and came out, everything was too late. She originally had the chance to escape alone, but to save her father, Her Highness Su didn't leave in the end. Instead, she chose to live and die with Beak City. This was her last pride as a noble demon. After Her Highness Su and the old overlord died, Lika even pretended to erect tombstones for them. Every once in a while, she would repent in front of the tombstones. She started to do good things in Beak City and adopted many succubi and seductresses who were sold. Not long after, she became a famous good person in the endless abyss. In this world filled with evil, all good would be infinitely magnified. Those low-level demons who struggled bitterly at the bottom of the abyss all saw this overlord's wife as their spiritual leader. Unfortunately, until the end, no one knew just how many people this overlord's wife had harmed for her own personal gain. What was good? What was evil? In the original world, those at the bottom treated Lika as a god. But in their hearts, the old overlord Stankoto was the synonym for cruelty and bloodshed. Actually, how could there be good people in the demon race? Even those at the bottom of the demon race would still wield the butcher's knife against their companions and relatives in order to survive. Nobles killing people was cruel and heartless, but they were killing each other because they had no choice but to survive. Knock knock. There was a soft knock on the door of the laboratory. Su Wan's gaze flickered. She quickly walked to the door and raised her hand to cast a mirror technique. A handsome blue-haired demon warrior stood outside the door. He wore a dark red bloody armor, and his familiar face carried a bit of eagerness. As if sensing Su Wan's gaze, the blue-haired man faintly smiled at Su Wan. His dark red pupils filled with a gentle expression. "You're here." Su Wan sighed in relief and said softly while opening the door. Su Wan froze hearing Su Wan's charming voice. Then he furrowed his brows. "You undid the seal?" "Amen," Su Wan responded. She suddenly remembered that succubi had a special voice. It seemed like she should pretend to be mute in the future. "Try not to talk in the future," Su Wan reminded Su Wan. Then he pulled her hand and walked outside. Asino and the female lead are having a good time. I'm guessing that they'll be playing a big movie when they come back. "Wife, I'll take you to my side first." At this moment, the plot had developed to the point where Asino and Lika were having sex. When the two of them were entangled, Her Highness Su happened to see them. Su Wan knew that if he didn't do anything, Asino might seal and imprison Su Wan again. Therefore, he had to take Su Wan away before the male and female lead returned. "Ignore them. Take me out of Beak City." Su Wan's gaze flickered. "I'm not here for a mission. I'm here to find Ding Jiejia." Ding Jiejia. Su Wan heard this name, and all the information he knew about Ding Jiejia flashed through his mind. He closed his eyes and sensed. Indeed, he didn't sense Ding Jiejia's soul within his range of perception. Where is she? The female lead and male lead were both in Beak City. Then why would the mission enforcer Ding Jiejia appear somewhere else? Was there such an unreliable mission enforcer? Su Wan hesitated hearing Su Wan's question. Maybe she's in the Soul Purgatory? Soul Purgatory, the forbidden purgatory in the deep abyss. It was a dangerous place that even the demon race didn't dare to enter. The endless abyss was also called infernal hell. There weren't 18 levels here, but it was divided into the upper, middle, and deep abyss. Each level had its own rules of survival. Beak City was a small territory in the middle abyss. To go to the deep abyss from Beak City, one had to use a fixed teleportation point in the middle abyss. This was a really long teleportation, and the teleportation fee was ridiculously high. Okay, I'll take you back to pack up first, and then we'll leave together. Okay. Hearing Su Rue's words, Su Wan nodded. She took off the azure crystal on her neck. I want to take this away. Put it in your space ring first. Right now, Su Wan's identity in the Overlord's residence was low-level slave Lika. Naturally, she couldn't wear this necklace out. Plus, Sakito spent a lot of money to buy this mysterious necklace for his daughter. There was no way Su Wan would leave it for Lika. Su Wan put the azure crystal away, and the two left Her Highness Su's palace. Not too far away, they happened to run into the Overlord residence's steward. Seeing the two, the steward smiled at Su Wan. Lan Pa, where are you going? Lan Pa was Su Wan's name in this world. His identity was Her Highness Su's guardian magic warrior. Of course, he was supposed to be loyal to the real Her Highness Su. Unfortunately, Lan Pa had been kept in the dark and had been loyal to Lika, who pretended to be Her Highness Su. Chapter 373. The manager of Beak City's Overlord's residence was an old demon. Everyone was used to calling him Old Berg. Hearing Old Berg greeting him, Su Rue immediately nodded. Her Highness Su told me to go out and do something. Oh, go on, go on. Come back early. Old Berg didn't doubt Su Rue's words at all. Seeing him turn and leave, Su Rue immediately brought Su Wan into the courtyard he lived in. After packing up all of his belongings, Su Rue brought Su Wan out from the back door of the Lord's residence. Because Su Rue had Her Highness Su's pass, the two were able to leave Beak City without any obstructions. After leaving Beak City, Su Rue finally had the chance to ask Su Wan about Ding Jujia. Yexin sent me a piece of information. It turns out that this world is the same as our last mission world. There is a spatial overlap. It's just that our mission was two identical parallel universes overlapping, but this mission world is two intersecting universes overlapping. Just like what we know, Demon King Asino was the male lead in this time-space and the fake Royal Highness Lika was the female lead. All of the rules and luck in this world revolved around the two main leads. But when another time-space overlapped with this one, the main lead from the other time-space descended into the endless abyss. Now, there's another main lead in this world. That main lead that appeared out of nowhere is an extremely violent homicidal maniac. Because of his abnormal massacre, he attracted the attention of the space-time executioner. Right now, the main lead is being chased by the executioner. As for Ding Jujia, I understand. Su Rue instantly understood. That main lead must be a handsome guy. Therefore, Ding Jujia couldn't change her nature and ran away with the handsome guy. But this handsome guy was the executioner's target. One could imagine Ding Jujia's current situation. She must be in a terrible situation. Damn. In short, it's all because of her lust. Su Wan shrugged helplessly. That's it. According to the SOS that Ding Jujia sent to the headquarters, she was last seen in the deep abyss Soul Death Purgatory. Soul Death Purgatory. Su Rue was dazed for a moment. Then he looked at Su Wan speechlessly. Wife, can you use your mental power to communicate with me? Damn. Su Wan's voice was too magical. Su Wan couldn't help but smile. Then she used her soul power to communicate with Su Rue. Although Su Wan and Lika swapped bodies, Her Highness Su had originally majored in alchemy and soul magic. Therefore, her mental power and soul power weren't affected at all. On the contrary, because demons were born with bodies that were different from normal people, Su Wan's mental power was even stronger than her original strength. When Lika discovered that the real Her Highness Su and Lan Pa were missing, it was already the next day. That's right. She had been rolling in the sheets with the male lead yesterday. Rolling here and there, and before she knew it, it was already the next day. After discovering this, Lika was terrified. Did Lan Pa already know her identity? Although Lika hadn't lived in Her Majesty Su's palace for long, She knew Lan Pa too well. He was definitely Her Majesty's loyal dog. Even if the sky fell, he wouldn't leave Her Majesty Su. And now, Lan Pa had disappeared, and with him, Her Highness Su, who had turned into Rebecca, had also disappeared. Your Highness, should we send people to capture Lika? The maid on the side couldn't help but suggest. No. Lika quickly denied the maid's words. If she brought Lan Pa and Her Highness back, wouldn't her identity be exposed? She would definitely die. She would definitely die. Lika didn't want to die. Plus, thinking of Asino's gentleness and love, Lika felt like her heart was about to melt. Her Highness Su only knew how to study magic, and her brain was filled with alchemy. She didn't know what love was at all. She also didn't know how to cherish a good man like Asino. Since she left, then let her be. Right, the endless abyss was vast and boundless. Perhaps Her Highness Su had wanted to go out and take a look a long time ago, but just didn't have the chance. Since she left with Lan Pa, she probably wouldn't be able to come back for 3 to 5 years. Even if she came back in the future, maybe she and Asino would have gotten married and left Beak City already? Thinking of this, Lika's emotions gradually calmed down. Don't tell anyone about Lika's disappearance. Also, I sent Lan Pa out to do something. He'll be gone for a long time. Go ask Old Berg to help me choose a magic warrior guardian. While Lan Pa isn't here, let someone else take his position. The maid heard Lika's order and immediately nodded respectfully. Yes, Your Highness. Just like that, a low-level slave girl's disappearance and a magic warrior's departure didn't attract much attention from the Overlord's residence. Right now, they had changed their clothes and arrived at the teleportation point of the Middle Layer Abyss. Many people gathered here, wanting to go to the Deep Layer Abyss to earn money. That's right. The Deep Layer Abyss represented slaughter and danger. Similarly, it also represented endless opportunities and wealth. If the Middle Layer Abyss was a world where nobles enslaved people, then the Deep Layer Abyss was a cruel and bloody world where people ate people and demons killed demons. Many people queued up to go to the Deep Layer Abyss every day. Most of them couldn't stay in the Middle Layer Abyss anymore and wanted to go to the Deep Layer Abyss to find opportunities. There were a few hundred of them leaving every day. In the end, only a few could return alive. Of course, in addition to the demons at the bottom of the hierarchy, there were also some aristocratic children who would bring a large group of followers and a large number of protective scrolls in order to seek excitement in the deep abyss. These people were all bored to the point of having fun. At this time, other than Su Rue, who was wearing luxurious armor, there was also a young man wearing a silver robe. That man had a feminine and seductive face, and a large group of followers followed behind him. Right now, he was looking around in boredom. Not long after, he discovered General Su, who stood out from the crowd and had an outstanding temperament. The man's gaze brightened. Then he quickly walked to Su Rue. Brother, how should I address you? The androgynous voice made General Su inexplicably have goosebumps all over his body. Seeing that Su Rue ignored his question coldly, the man wearing the robe smiled and continued, I'm Belia from Weya City. You look like you're going to the Deep Layer Abyss for sightseeing, right? Why did you only bring an Abyss Enchantress? What did he mean by only one? Su Rue's eyes flickered coldly hearing Belia's words. Suwon also looked at him with an unfriendly expression. Feeling the familiar spiritual fluctuation from Belia, Suwon smiled and sighed. No wonder he was so ostentatious. He was a hell mage. In the Deep Layer Abyss, other than the talents of different races, most people were either warriors or mages. Mages were split into necromancers, hell mages, and demon mages. Chapter 374. Hell demons weren't the same race as normal demons. How should she put it? Normal demons would transform into demons when they were in mortal danger. They would have a cold and powerful appearance, as well as strong defense and destructive power. Hell demons, on the other hand, would transform into demons when they were in danger. Ordinary infernal demons could transform into infernal hounds. Powerful infernal demons could even transform into 2 or even 3 infernal hounds. In short, this was an extremely powerful and troublesome race. Hell magicians were the best of the best. Suwon didn't expect Belia, this sissy, to be an advanced hell magician. You really can't judge a book by its cover. While Su-won was examining Belia, Belia also lifted his brows and looked curiously at Su-won. This succubus wasn't ordinary. Belia originally thought that Su-rue's temperament was outstanding, and he didn't seem like a normal demon. But looking at the succubus next to him, Belia wanted to make friends with him. Brother, we'll probably have to wait until the sky turns dark if we line up here. Actually, I have my family's token that can activate the family's passage. I can teleport 50 people at once. Look, I only have 20 followers. I originally didn't want to use my family's authority, but it's fate that we met. Are you willing to travel with me? Saying this, Belia took out a token from his magic robe. Seeing the word feet on the token, Su-won and Su-rue's pupils shrank. Feet family, the strongest hell demon clan in the middle-level abyss. Damn, what kind of world was this? She just left the male and female lead, and now she encountered the villain boss's family member? But Belia's name was really unfamiliar. Su-won searched through the plots she knew but didn't find this name. There wasn't even anything that resembled this name. It seemed like Belia was either a family's cannon fodder, or he never came out of the deep-level abyss. While Su-won was in deep thought, Su-rue also muttered to himself. Then he lifted his head and looked deeply at Belia. Lan-pa. She's my maid, Su. Oh. Belia beamed, seeing that Su-rue was finally willing to reveal his name. Brother Lan-pa, this way please. This is the best time for us to enter the portal. When we reach the deep abyss, I'll take you to the stronghold of the Feet family. There are the most tempting abyssal sirens in the entire deep abyss, as well as the best wine and meat. Su-rue was speechless hearing Belia's words. General Su wasn't interested in the abyssal sirens at all, okay? It was better to keep a respectful distance from those seductresses who used their bodies as weapons. When Belia returned to his seat, the attendant he brought with him looked at Su-rue and Su-won vigilantly. Then he moved closer to Belia and whispered a few words. Although he was careful and quiet, Su-rue and Su-won could still hear him clearly with their current mental powers. Young Master Bell, these two look very dangerous. Won't it affect our plan if you bring them along? Belia didn't say anything. Instead, he smiled and said, What are you worried about? I have the final say on this matter. Saying this, Belia smiled charmingly at them. I'm sorry. I didn't teach them well, and let Brother Lan-pa see a joke. Su-rue was speechless. Su-won, did this sissy take a liking to my General Su? Damn, I'm pissed. Su-rue was expressionless at Belia's display of goodwill. Thankfully, Belia was thick-skinned, so he didn't feel awkward. He continued to smile and say, Let's go. I'll take the token and have them open the Feet family's special portal. Okay. Su-rue nodded. He pulled Su-won's hand, and the two followed behind Belia. The group entered the teleportation formation smoothly. Plus, they didn't even need to pay the teleportation fee. When the surroundings of the transmission array lit up with brilliant light, Su-won only felt that her eyes were blurred and the surrounding air seemed to be distorted. Fortunately, Su-rue had been holding her hand. When a burst of space-time turbulence rushed over, Su-rue subconsciously held Su-won in his arms. Something's wrong, someone in the group shouted. Suddenly, a cold glint flashed and countless ice blades flew in all directions. There was an assassin. Plus, he was in the group. The assassin's mental power wasn't high. He was just an ordinary ice-attributed mage. But since he attacked in this unstable portal, although it was just an ordinary ice blade, it was still fatal. So unlucky. Su-rue was speechless, feeling like he was caught in the crossfire. No wonder Belia wasn't in the plot that he and Su-won knew of. He really was cannon fodder. The portal was halfway through. Su-rue could feel that they had arrived at the deep layer of the abyss. He couldn't help but hug Su-won and whisper in her ears, I can use my spiritual power to break the space-time whirlpool, but I can't guarantee that we can land safely. It's okay. Su-won used her spiritual power to communicate with Su-rue in her mind. When I was refining, I left behind several teleportation magic scrolls. After we get out, I'll immediately use my spiritual power to activate the scrolls. We can continuously move until we find a safe place to stay. Okay. Getting Su-won's answer, Su-rue immediately relaxed. He gathered the internal energy and spiritual power in his body on the warrior's sword in his hand, and then suddenly waved it. The entire transmission array immediately shook violently, and a small gap was broken open. Facing the whistling airflow, Su Rue held Su Wan and jumped down without hesitation. At that critical moment, a black shadow suddenly sprang onto Su Wan's body. Su Wan didn't have time to think. She concentrated her mental power and activated the teleportation scroll in midair. The first time she moved, there were man-eating monsters all around her. Su Wan didn't dare to stop and immediately activated the second time. In the end, she fell into a pile of skeletons. Damn. Third time. Fourth time. After using 5 scrolls, Su Wan and Su Rue finally landed safely in a seemingly calm mountain forest. Amen. To be precise, it wasn't just the two of them. It's dirty. Get down. Su Wan looked at a certain hell dog lying on her body and communicated with it with her mental power and dissatisfaction. Belia, who had turned into 2 hellhounds, immediately jumped down from Su Wan's back. Why are you so fierce? You scared me. Fuck. Shut up. I'm not going to shut up. I'm just scared. Do you think I won't kill you? Damn sissy. Su Wan and Su Rue were speechless seeing Belia's 2 heads tearing at each other. Chapter 375. The sky was still gray, and the forest was silent. Belia had returned to his human form. He finally calmed down and stood silently behind Su Wan and Su Rue. His eyes were closed as if he was sensing something. A gentle breeze blew through the forest, and the air carried a faint, almost undetectable smell of decay. This is, Su Rue and Su Wan looked at each other, and both of them were secretly on guard. Shit. At this time, Belia also opened his eyes in a panic. He felt that aura. Hurry. We've entered the deep layer abyss dead spirit forest. Hearing Belia's words, Su Wan immediately took out the last teleportation scroll. But before she could chant the incantation, the scroll in her hand suddenly started burning. The white flame exuded a strange and cold aura. Let's go. Su Rue rushed to the front. The moment the 3 people moved, the originally flat grassland suddenly shook violently. From the black soil with weeds, pale arms stretched out. The bony palms had sharp nails. Looking around, the entire forest was filled with ghost claws. They swayed and slowly broke out of the soil. This was definitely more shocking than the zombies at the end of the world. Rotten and smelly corpses gradually crawled out of the soil. They swayed and instantly surrounded Su Rue and the other 2. Damn. So disgusting. Belia's expression changed. As he spoke, he took out his magic staff from his spatial ring. Hell's Lotus. Red snakes of fire danced out. Under the flames that filled the sky, the swaying corpses began to wail incessantly. The ear-piercing screams pierced through the sky of the mountain ridge and spread far away. Those sounds, Su Wan sharply felt that the screams weren't normal wailing. They seemed to be sending a message far away. Were they asking for help? Su Wan immediately took out a few magic talismans from her bosom and scattered them in front of her. Those magic talismans immediately turned into specks of starlight and sank into the ground. Immediately, a transparent magic barrier formed above the entire area, isolating everything from the outside world. Magic protection. Belia looked at Su Wan strangely. You're an alchemist? Belia had his suspicions ever since Su Wan took out the teleportation talismans like she didn't care about money. Now that she was so proficient in using magic talismans, he couldn't help but ask in astonishment. Su Wan didn't answer Belia's question. Instead, she lifted her chin and signaled Belia to pay attention to his back. Behind me? Huh? Belia turned around and saw a disgusting rotten corpse pouncing at him from behind. Disgusting. Disgusting. While Belia was complaining, a sword light flashed. Su Rue had already split the zombie in front of him in half. The dark green liquid splashed out, splashing all over Belia. Belia, ah! Someone's earth-shattering scream came from inside the magic shield. Roar! What responded to him was an even more shocking roar that came from another direction. This is Infernal Demon King. Through the transparent magic shield, Su Rue stared at the huge figure striding over from afar. With every step he took, The entire mountain ridge shook and countless trees were already broken by his huge feet. Why is there such a thing here? At this moment, Belia was also stunned. He stared blankly at the huge, infernal demon king. There seemed to be two figures sitting on his shoulders. That's a man wearing a black robe sat on the infernal demon king's shoulders. The black hat covered his face, only revealing his thin and fair chin. In his arms, a beautiful and coquettish abyssal siren was leaning against him. Necromancer, mage. As they got closer, Belia smelled the strong scent of death and decay coming from the man. So all the zombies in the forest of the dead were his subordinates? While Belia's expression was solemn, Su Rue slowly put away his sword, speechless as he looked at the eye-catching duo. It's Ding Jiajia. Su Rue was using his mental power to communicate with Su Wan. Su Wan couldn't help but glance at Ding Jiajia. Imin, that's right. She remembered Yexin saying that Ding Jiajia's identity in this world seemed to be a demonic woman. Of course, she wasn't an ordinary demonic woman. She was a mutated demonic woman and possessed extremely powerful attacks. While Su Wan was looking at Ding Jiajia, who was in her man's embrace, was also looking at them. Damn, isn't that my Adonis? Though Ding Jiajia had never seen Su Rue before, she spent a lot of points on the market to purchase a lot of his information. Naturally, his appearance was included. Since Adonis was here, then the demonic woman next to him must be Su Wan, right? Thinking until here, Ding Jiajia immediately whispered a few words into her man's ear. Then, the surrounding zombies all quieted down and obediently returned to the ground to continue their long slumber. Even the infernal demon king that was the most arrogant just now was as quiet as a baby. Su Wan waved her hand and removed the magic protection. Then she walked forward and stared at Ding Jiajia's eyes, communicating with her using her mental power. Ding Jiajia, I'm Su Wan. I'm Su now. What's the situation here? Su? Ding Jiajia's gaze flickered. No wonder Su Wan had the appearance of a demonic woman. So she was that bitter, Her Highness Su. Su, is that you? At this time, Ding Jiajia suddenly jumped down from the infernal demon king's shoulder and walked to Su Wan. She lifted her hands and hugged Su Wan's petite body. I'm Shueli. Long time no see. Shueli, the future queen of banshees. Seeing that Ding Jiajia activated her movie Empress mode as soon as they met, Su Wan could only give her a smile of reunion after a long time of ecstasy. After hugging Su Wan, Ding Jiajia smiled and walked to Su Rue. You must be Lan Pa, right? Thank you for taking care of Su for me. Saying this, Ding Jiajia opened her arms to hug Su Rue, but General Su dodged her. You're welcome. It's my responsibility to take care of her. Su Rue still looked at Ding Jiajia with a normal expression, and his tone was lukewarm. Adonis really has a personality. Chapter 376. Hearing Ding Jiajia's question, Belia seemed to have forgotten that he was in a sorry state. He lifted his eyes charmingly and answered arrogantly, I'm Belia, the third successor of Feet family's 10th generation. Feet family's successor? Wasn't he the villain family that was used as cannon fodder? Ding Jiajia looked at Belia, her gaze flickering. She didn't remember such a person in Feet family. Could it be? Ding Jiajia's gaze flickered. She smiled and nodded at Belia. Hello. I'm Shueli. Saying this, she turned and waved behind her. Darling, hurry and come down. Hearing Ding Jiajia's words, the man sitting on the infernal demon king's shoulder fluttered and jumped down. At this moment, a light breeze blew away the black hat on the man's head, revealing a head full of jet black hair and eyes. The flawlessly handsome man looked at Ding Jiajia with a gaze filled with gentleness. Wow, Ding Jiajia had good taste. Su Wan couldn't help but touch her chin as she looked at that exquisitely carved and unparalleled handsome face. Ahem. Su Rue immediately coughed, and then Su Rue's voice rang in Su Wan's mind. Wife, did I look good? Do I look good or him? Su Wan was speechless. Of course, you look good. Su Wan couldn't help but reply. Actually, she wanted to say that the two couldn't be compared at all. No matter how good-looking other men were, they couldn't compare to her General Su. Of course, she wouldn't tell Su Rue this. Otherwise, a certain someone would be cocky. Su. At this time, Ding Jia pulled Su Wan's hand with a smile and pulled her in front of the man in the black robe. This is Frank. He's a sage-level necromancer. Sage level? Su Wan nodded at Frank, hearing Ding Jia's words. People with the protagonist's halo were amazing. He was actually a sage-level necromancer. Nanny. He could kill a bunch of people instantly, okay? Even the original male lead of this world, Asino, would be killed instantly in front of him. However, the powerful male lead was being chased by a space-time executioner. She didn't dare to imagine just how strong the executioner was. All right, we shouldn't stay here for long. After Ding Jia introduced them, Franks muttered and whistled. The infernal demon king immediately lowered its huge and ugly body. Come on up. I'll bring you to our stronghold. Saying this, Frank carried Ding Jia and jumped up. Su Rue wasn't slow either. He held Su Wan's waist with one hand, and the two sat together. Belia stood on the spot with a look of disdain. This guy was too ugly. Too ugly. This young master doesn't want to sit. Absolutely not. You're not coming up? At this moment, Ding Jia, who was on the infernal demon king's shoulder, smiled and looked at Belia. Are you really not coming up? Ding Jia whispered something into Frank's ear as she spoke. I don't. Belia, who was on the ground, opened his mouth, but before he could finish speaking, the infernal demon king suddenly lifted his leg and stomped on Belia's body. Damn! Belia immediately dodged and then stared coldly at Ding Jia. Ugly woman, what are you doing? Ugly woman? Ding Jia gritted her teeth, but she wore a faint smile. Sorry, my foot slipped. Slipped my ass. Belia widened his eyes and looked at the messy surroundings. Then, he lowered his head and looked at his dirty robe. In the end, he raised his hand and took out a dozen storm talismans from his spatial ring. You guys lead the way, I'll just follow. Ding Jia was speechless. What's with the act? Damn sissy. Humph. Darling, let's go. Ding Jia whispered into Frank's ear. Immediately after, the infernal demon king walked out of the forest with large strides. Along the way, there were white bones everywhere they went. The Dead Soul Forest was the dead's paradise. If it weren't for the infernal demon king, they would have been surrounded by a large group of dead souls and corpses. The group walked for around an hour before they finally arrived at a gathering place of the demon race. This was a rundown small city. It didn't even have a good city gate. The moment they entered, they could see many members of the Abyss walking back and forth. Blood was everywhere on the streets. Some demons were fighting over prey, while others were fighting over women. There were even a few demons from hell who were openly having sex with several sirens of the Abyss on the street. This was the deep layer of the Abyss. There was no order here. Everything was based on strength. There were no morals or ethics here. There was only endless killing. The infernal demon king was Frank's possession. He was the strongest person in this stronghold. When the people on the street saw the infernal demon king, they all subconsciously made way for him. The people who had just killed couldn't help but put away their weapons and drag the corpses far away. Seeing the chaotic streets, Su Rue's expression didn't change, but he kept talking to Su Wan. Wife, can you not take on missions like this in the future? It looks disgusting. I don't want to either. Su Wan was depressed too. When Yexian spoke, Su Wan didn't know that Ding Jia would enter a mission like this. Plus, abyssal demonesses were said to like NPCs the most. She felt drunk just thinking about it. The group arrived at Ding Jia and Frank's residence without any obstructions. The courtyard they lived in was pretty nice. Belia went to find a place to shower first while Ding Jia brought Su Wan and Su Wan into her bedroom. Franks waved his hand and set up a magic barrier. Su Wan, Su Rue, Franks knows my identity. Ding Jia called Su Wan and Su Rue's names right away. Su Wan and Su Rue weren't surprised to hear this. Su Wan remained silent while Su Rue looked coldly at Franks. Can you tell me about you? About me? Franks glanced at Su Rue and then said faintly, I'm from Mont Continent. Because I'm a necromancer, I've been chased by the Holy Light Court. Then the Dark Church found me and said that I'm the son of darkness. They gave me cultivation resources and let me cultivate. When I reached a bottleneck, they sent me to a secret realm to train. In the end, when I was breaking through to the sacred rank, I accidentally attracted the space-time turbulence in the secret realm. Then I followed the space-time vortex to hell and met Ding Jujia. Amen. After hearing Frank's words, Ding Jujia nodded. I met Frank not long after entering the mission. Then, cough cough, we naturally fell in love with each other. Originally, I wanted to bring him to kill Asino and Lika, that bitch. Who knew that we would meet that annoying space-time executioner on the way? Space-time executioner? You guys fought him head-on? How strong is he? How did you guys escape? Chapter 377. Space-time executioner. Ding Jujia's expression was a bit strange. Frank and I have fought him before. He's really strong. Most importantly, he doesn't have a specific identity. He can transform into anyone in this world and even possess that person's memories. This was the scariest part about the executioner. It was impossible to defend against. Last time, he transformed into me and lured Frank to the soul death purgatory. He originally planned on killing Frank there, but Frank was a necromancer. Not only did he not die in the soul death purgatory, but he also consolidated his cultivation. Later on, the executioner chased after him. Frank had been hiding and then accidentally fell into an underground cave. Then he encountered the infernal demon king. What was a human-shaped cheat? What was a protagonist's halo? Look at Frank. He was definitely the son of the world's laws. Pure blood. He had been chased but never killed. He had been running and leveling up. Su Rue and Su Wan glanced at each other. Su Rue couldn't help but ask, Frank, when was the last time you guys saw the executioner? Frank and Ding Jujia furrowed their brows and thought about it. Probably. Before we came here? Ding Jujia spoke before Frank. When I went to the soul death purgatory to find Frank, he had successfully escaped. He even had the infernal demon king with him. At that time, Ding Jujia had sent a distress signal to the headquarters. Therefore, Yi Xian received that Ding Jujia was in the soul death purgatory. That's right. After we left the soul death purgatory, we came here. Maybe it's because there are a lot of demons gathered here, that's why he hasn't appeared. Upon hearing Ding Jujia's words, Franks nodded firmly. Although the space-time executor is very powerful, he seems to be restricted by the laws of this world. He can't use powers that exceed the limits of this world. Moreover, they claim to be the guardians of space-time. They can't destroy the balance of this world, nor can they kill anyone in this world. That's right, the law enforcers also had strict rules. They could transform into anyone to enforce the law, but they couldn't kill any natives of this world. Otherwise, they would be punished. In other words, they could only attack transmigrators, reincarnated people, system hosts, and mission enforcers who were not natural existences, killing or chasing them away. As for the others, they could not kill them. Was this perhaps the weakness of the space-time executioner? No. How could he just have a weakness? What they needed to do was not to run away, but to defend themselves and fight back. Su Wan. Ding Jujia looked deeply at Su Wan. How did you and Su Rue get to know Belia? Why can't I find such a person in my plot records? Belia. Hearing Ding Jujia's question, Su Wan immediately used her mental power to communicate with Ding Jujia. She told Ding Jujia everything that happened after they met Belia. Ding Jujia's gaze flickered. Do you guys think he's an enforcer? Su Wan and Su Rue weren't too surprised to hear Ding Jujia's words. After all, they didn't trust Belia that much. Do you want me to test him? Ding Jujia smiled coquettishly. Su Rue looked up coldly. No need to test him. Just kill him. If he died, he was just cannon fodder that deserved to die. If he couldn't be killed, then his identity as a space-time executioner would be exposed. No need. Frank suddenly waved his hand, and the magic barrier in the room disappeared. That Belia has already escaped. Ran away? Su Rue immediately sensed Belia's aura. Damn, he really disappeared. Su Wan was speechless. He didn't run away because he was afraid of being discovered, right? No. Maybe Belia wasn't a space-time executioner? Su Wan couldn't help but calm down and think for a moment. If Belia was a space-time executioner, he had the chance to sneak attack her and Su Rue during the transmission, but he didn't. Of course, this didn't exclude the possibility that he did it on purpose. Frank was powerful and had heaven-defying luck. It was hard to deal with him. Maybe the executioner thought that a direct confrontation wouldn't benefit him, so he planned on using a more complicated method. Su-Rue. Su-Won used her mental power to communicate with Su-Rue. Do you think Belia is a space-time executioner? Doesn't seem like it. Su-Rue answered Su-Won. There's no way an executioner would be exposed so easily. Right. Su-Won also felt like things weren't that simple. Ding Jiajia. At this time, Su-Won suddenly opened her mouth and spoke. Her charming and pleasant voice made the three people in the room swayed. Damn, Su-Won, so you can talk. Ding Jiajia froze. Then she patted Su-Won's shoulder. I thought you couldn't talk. But your voice, heh? It's good that you can't talk. It tickles my heart. I'll sleep with you tonight. Tell me a story and I'll definitely sleep until the sun rises. Su-Won was speechless. Ahem. Su-Rue's expression darkened as he coughed. Wife, what do you want to say? Ding Jiajia. Since we found you, let's go back. Su-Won continued to look at Ding Jiajia's face and tried to soften her voice. Mission enforcers could request to leave the mission early. Then, they would automatically fail the mission. Failing a mission wasn't a big deal. After all, mission enforcers weren't omnipotent. No. Hearing Su-Won's words, Ding Jiajia immediately refused loudly. If I leave, Frank will be in danger. Su-Won, I called you guys over because I want you guys to help him get through this. Of course, if he encounters any danger, I'll bring up the rear and you guys can forcefully leave anytime. After saying this, Ding Jiajia's gaze carried a trace of suspicion and kept staring at Su-Won's face. In her memory, Su-Won wouldn't retreat no matter what she encountered. Why was she acting so strange today? Space-time executioners could become anyone in this time-space and could even extract anyone's memory. In that case, could the law enforcer be among them? Who could be trusted? Who could be impersonated? At this moment, Ding Jiajia suddenly felt a little uncertain. Logically speaking, the law enforcers were very strong. There was no need for them to feign ignorance. However, accidents happened all the time in this world. What if the law enforcers were really among them? While Ding Jiajia was feeling suspicious, Su-Won and Su-Rue secretly exchanged glances. They also felt like the executioner was by their side. Chapter 378. At night, Su-Won and Su-Rue were arranged by Ding Jiajia to stay in two adjacent rooms in the courtyard. As soon as the sky turned dark, Ding Jiajia scurried into Su-Won's room with a smile and started chatting with her. She kept asking Su-Won all sorts of questions in a roundabout manner. Seeing that it was already past midnight, Su-Won yawned and looked at Ding Jiajia. Ding Jiajia, are you suspecting me? Ding Jiajia smiled brightly. Why would I? We're good comrades. We're going to fight side by side in the future. I can suspect anyone but you. Perfunctory, continue to be perfunctory. Su-Won touched the small horn on her head. Do you believe that I can request to return to the headquarters right now? I don't care if you die or not. Sob, Su-Won, I was wrong. I shouldn't have suspected you. I'm guilty. I repent. Hearing Su-Won's words, Ding Jiajia immediately pounced on Su-Won and pulled her hand excitedly. Then, she pitifully lowered her head and rubbed against Su-Won's chest. Su-Won, damn. You're taking advantage of me, right? You're dirty, Ding Jiajia. Su-Won pushed Ding Jiajia out of her arms in disgust. Ding Jiajia blinked her big eyes and looked at Su-Won with her charming face. Su-Won, you're the smartest. Hurry, help me think of a way. Help my dear. It's not easy for me to meet a man that suits my taste. Su-Won was stunned. Su-Won was speechless. It's not easy for you to meet a man that doesn't suit your taste, right? Su-Won didn't want to criticize Ding Jiajia's fickleness. You guys didn't encounter any danger before we came? No. Ding Jiajia shook her head, her face a bit red. Oh my God, Su-Won, you should use your spiritual power to communicate with me. Why does your voice sound like a hypnotizing voice? Su-Won, damn. Why don't you say that you abyssal sirens are lascivious by nature? Su-Won glared at Ding Jiajia and then used her mental power to ask, according to what you said, you and Frank had been separated for a period of time. During that time, you contacted EXIN and asked the headquarters for help. After Frank reunited with you, did you immediately tell him that you asked for help? Yeah. Ding Jia nodded again, and then her gaze darkened. Suwon, could it be that you mean Frank's was impersonated by a law enforcer? Ding Jia didn't say this out loud. Suwon smiled mysteriously and said, "We'll know if it's true or not. Since the law enforcers haven't appeared yet, what are we waiting for? Bring the saint-ranked necromancer and infernal demon king to bully the male and female leads." Damn you. Ding Jia really wanted to strangle herself. Why didn't she think of this? The enforcers won't appear? Then let's go and torture the male and female leads. Let's see how he'll be able to endure it then. Whoever stopped him from abusing the main character would be the hidden enforcer. Okay. Suwon, I love you too much. Ding Jia happily pounced on Suwon once again and fiercely kissed her on the face as fast as a thunderbolt. In the next second, Suwon pushed her away in disdain. Seeing Suwon wiping her face, Ding Jia's face darkened. Suwon, you don't have the love of your colleagues. Sob, I feel like I won't love you anymore. After Ding Jia finally left happily, Suwon couldn't help but sigh deeply in her room. She looked down and no one could see the glint in her eyes. Wife. Not long later, Su Rue opened the door and walked in. What did Ding Jia say to you? Suwon glanced at him. Don't tell me you didn't hear it. Suwon had always been confident in General Su's perception and mental power. Su Rue couldn't help but smile awkwardly. Okay, wife, I heard it all. Are you suspecting Frank too? No one knew what he went through in the soul death hell. Maybe he was really lucky and could escape time and time again. But what if everything was fake? Back then, the enforcer could use Ding Jia's identity to lure Frank away. He could also kill Frank in the soul death hell and turn himself into Frank's appearance. Then he could banish or kill Ding Jia. The reason why he didn't do anything was because Ding Jia told him that she had reinforcements. Second, he might have gotten injured when he fought Frank in the soul death hell. It should be known that law enforcers could also be injured. They were in charge of many space-times. Every time they entered a space-time, it was their soul body. They wouldn't truly die, but once their soul was injured, their combat power would decrease. They would find out soon enough if it was him or not. Suwon smiled faintly at Su Rue and suddenly said, "I'm sleepy. I'm going to sleep. Do you want to come?" Su Rue's gaze darkened, hearing his wife's demonic voice again. Go to sleep first. I'll sleep later and monitor the situation outside. Su Rue naturally wanted to monitor Frank's every move. Though he was a sage-level necromancer, his spiritual perception wasn't necessarily stronger than General Su's. Amen. I'm going to sleep. Good night. Suwon nodded and then took off her shoes and jumped onto the bed. She didn't even take off her clothes and burrowed into the blankets, falling asleep soon after. Su Rue couldn't help but stare at Suwon's face seeing her sleeping so soundly. Right now, he was releasing his perception network to sense everything in the courtyard. Oh, great. Honey, you're great. Amen, little vixen. You're great too. Su Rue was speechless. Sensing that Ding Jia and Frank were rolling in the bed in another room, Su Rue's expression darkened. The next morning, Suwon noticed that Su Rue was meditating on a chair by the side when she woke up. Suwon quietly got up, but still startled Su Rue. Morning. Su Rue opened his eyes and smiled at her. Morning. You didn't sleep last night? Suwon saw the dark circles under Su Rue's eyes and couldn't help but ask, General Su, do you have to work so hard? 24-hour eavesdropping? Su Rue was speechless. General Su felt bitter after being forced to listen to a dirty and violent broadcast for the entire night. He didn't expect Frank to look so skinny. Damn, he was practically about to transform into a wolf at night. He could even compete with General Su. As for Ding Jia, Su Rue didn't want to comment on her anymore. She really had a lot of tricks up her sleeves. In the morning, the four ate breakfast together, but there wasn't any awkwardness when they saw each other. After eating, Ding Jia packed some things and put them in her spatial ring. The four were ready to set off. The journey from the stronghold to the teleportation station wasn't short, but the four were pretty strong. Plus, Frank had a ferocious infernal demon king. Therefore, they arrived at the teleportation station without any danger. After arriving at the transmission station, Su-won and Su-rue immediately discovered that familiar figure in the long queue of people. Damn, isn't that Belia? Chapter 379. The Four's arrival caused a commotion in the group, especially Frank's infernal demon king. Many people were intimidated by it. At this moment, Frank's was still wearing a pure black hoodie. Coupled with his cold and handsome face, he indeed looked like a male god. However, Su-won and Su-rue had long seen through his nature as a loser. Frank's, this is a standard male lead template. He had a passable face, heaven-defying luck, girls throwing themselves at him, and all sorts of strange yet powerful followers or pets. Nanny. Su-won wanted to slap a male lead like him to death too. Belia. At this time, Su-rue quickly walked over to Belia and looked at him coldly. Why did you leave without saying goodbye that day? Although Belia wasn't too suspicious, his actions were indeed a little strange. Belia looked up coldly and looked at Su-rue arrogantly. Who are you? Do I know you? He wasn't I but young master. Nanny, your personality sure changed quickly. Su-rue didn't say anything and returned to the group. What's wrong with him? Ding Jiejia also asked curiously. Su-rue didn't say anything. Instead, Su-won used her mental powers to describe Belia's identity to Ding Jiejia. Two-headed infernal dog? Sounds like he's pretty good. Ding Jiejia couldn't help but lick her lips and stare at Belia's back. Speaking of which, when this guy wasn't a sissy, he looked pretty handsome. Seeing Ding Jiejia's interested gaze, Su-won couldn't help but pour cold water on her. I advise you not to provoke him. What if he suddenly changes his personality or transforms when you guys are having sex? I'm afraid you'll be traumatized for the rest of your life. Ding Jiejia was speechless. Sobbed Su-won, you really don't love me. My male god is the best. Ding Jiejia couldn't help but look at Su-rue again. Male god is so handsome. Male god is so aloof. Male god has such a temperament. Male god is already taken? Ding Jiejia felt her heart dripping blood thinking that such a high-quality male god was someone else's. Su-won, did you forget what you said yesterday? That you and Franks were in love with each other and that you were in love with each other? Su-won, everyone in the department knows that you and Su-rue are together. Are you two really together? At this time, Ding Jiejia couldn't help but use her spiritual power to communicate with Su-won. After Su-won did the rescue mission, everyone knew who she saved. It was actually people from that side. Was this the plain version of Romeo and Juliet? Baba, it was said that it was a tragedy. Hearing Ding Jiejia's question, Su-won lowered her eyes and smiled slightly. Ding Jiejia, you like Su-rue? No. A gentleman doesn't steal someone's love. I'm loved by my colleagues, so why would I steal my colleague's man? Ding Jiejia's impatient voice immediately echoed in Su-won's mind, but Su-won still had an indifferent expression. If you really like him, you can chase after him. If you succeed, then you'll have the ability. Ding Jiejia, was she hallucinating? Su-won actually told her to chase after Su-rue? While Ding Jiejia was confused, Su-won's voice rang in her mind again. Didn't you also suspect that person? Why don't you try and see his reaction? Ding Jiejia was speechless. I knew that Su-won wouldn't be so easy to talk to. Why would she really tell her to chase after her man? Ahem, what if he really caught up to her? Ding Jiejia, you're thinking too much. Hey, those people over there. Belia, who was standing in front of the teleportation formation, suddenly shouted, do you guys want to come with me? Cough. I just happen to have a seat here. I'm not here to return your favor. Such a tsundere young master was really enough. In the end, Su-won, Su-rue, and the others followed Belia back. They still didn't spend a single cent. It felt good to follow a rich person. Returning to the middle layer of the abyss, they looked at the gray sky and the red moon. Everything seemed especially familiar. No matter how dark this place was, it was still much better than the deep layer of the abyss. Where are you guys going? Coming out of the teleportation formation, Belia still brought a group of servants with him. Of course, this group was different from the ones he brought with him last time. The young master of a large family had a grand entrance. "We're going back to Beak City." Su Rue heard Belia's words and couldn't help but murmur. "Beak City?" Belia lifted his brows. "So you guys are from Beak City. You guys don't know yet, right? There's been a rebellion in Beak City recently. The original overlord, Sakito, died in battle and his daughter married the new overlord, Asino." A complicated glint flickered through Belia's eyes when he mentioned Asino's name. Although Belia had been in the deep layer of the abyss to complete the mission his family gave him, he was still well informed. He knew everything that happened in the middle layer of the abyss. Asino actually became the overlord so quickly. Su Wan's gaze darkened. As expected, his departure made Lika feel a sense of danger. So, she married Asino in advance and helped him take over Beak City? "It seems like we need to go to Beak City immediately." Hearing Belia's words, Ding Judge's gaze turned serious. Asino and Lika were different from the other male and female leads. In other worlds, no matter how deep the relationship was, at least the male and female lead would have a deep relationship. However, Lika and Asino only had a subordinate relationship. Lika attached herself to Asino. Of course, she might like Asino too. But in the deep abyss, liking and love were extravagant emotions. With Lika's lowly mentality, she didn't dare to hope that Asino would love her. As for the high and mighty Asino, he simply enjoyed Lika's obedience and attachment. There was only one way to separate them other than making Asino abandon Lika. That was to kill. Kill a person's existence. When a world lost a main character, the rules of the entire world would change. Then the executioner wouldn't be able to continue enforcing the law. Ding Jia and Su Wan could complete their mission and leave. With that in mind, the few of them quickly headed towards Beak City. Belia smiled faintly as he watched the four of them leave. "Young master." The servant looked at Belia in confusion. "Young master, why did you tell them about Beak City?" "Heh." Belia smiled faintly. "That Lanpa is Sakito's daughter's guardian magic warrior. Why would a guardian magic warrior leave the city alone and have a demon with him? And that abyss goblin is actually a very powerful alchemist." Feet Family's information network was really powerful. The moment Belia saw Su Wan, he knew his identity. Because he knew his identity, he purposely got close to him. "Su, that wasn't the demon's name. It was the daughter of Beak City's overlord. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.